All right. It's another Saturday night. Therefore, there's another Saturday night Shoot the Breeze. I want to thank, there's no one here yet, but I want to thank everyone who will be here. I want to thank all the panelists in advance and all the members of the chat tonight who will be here. I want to thank you guys who are listening to this show in the playback as well. So Pro-Black Perspective is out there saying 1, meaning that my sound is good, so I appreciate that. Let's get into what we're discussing tonight. So tonight, we are going to discuss the Fresh and Shit show, where they had this wannabe white supremacist type dude. I can't think of his name right now, but we're going to discuss some aspect of that. We're going to talk about cotton picking industry in the U.S. We're going to talk about a film that's coming out. I guess you could say it's a black film. We're going to talk about Micah Johnson's last words. I think that's very important to do. We're going to talk about repatriation, how to repatriate 50 million people in the diaspora to Africa. We're going to talk about 21st century slavery in America. As you guys know, I have 5 topics and a possible nowadays. We're not necessarily, we're not doing the full, only reminds me is Nick Fuentes, is the guy from the Fresh and Shit show, who they encourage to say the N-word. So those are topics we have tonight. Again, the show is 3 hours. Let's get the likes up. Let's get the likes up. Let's get the amount of people viewing the show up. So share the show on your social media. Let your folks know what you're doing tonight and have them join in. What we're going to do now is we're going to start the show officially. Shout out to the Harsh Rally podcast who's out there. That's D-Web saying, greetings, fam. Thanks for coming through on this very hot day in NYC. Almost didn't make it here today myself, to be honest. We're going to start the show officially. And on the other side, I will drop Shoot the Breeze topic number 1. Do stay tuned.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio. Welcome to the Bitter Medicine Podcast, where it's all about Black empowerment. Our show focuses on Black news and entertainment, arts, science, economics, history, people, and strategies that uplift, empower, and motivate Africans within the diaspora. And now your host, whose favorite color is black, Goku.
Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast.
Hello there, dear listener. We hope you're enjoying this lovely discussion. If you're not already aware, this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio, a Pan-African nationalist and Garveyite network come to showcasing the rich and varied thoughts of African people. We have an exciting lineup of shows that we think you'll enjoy, including
the Bitter Medicine Podcast.
I think black people acquired too much buy-in.
Like, we constantly have to sell black people on things that are beneficial to black people.
The Pro-Black Perspective Podcast.
I'm fearful that our people are not really studying how to get ahead, and we're kind of, continually staying behind.
The Harsh Reality Podcast.
To me, it don't matter. I think people are so dumbed down, it wouldn't matter what you reveal to them. They still are in the matrix. They're in the simulation. They're going to keep doing what they did. They lemmings. So to me, it don't matter, man.
The Learning Curve Podcast.
Sexual access has never given you economic empowerment. The only person who has ever been economically empowered by a sexual relationship is the wasp and his woman.
The Cassidra Cheek Show.
When we start rising up to fight for our own, I guarantee you they'll stop doing what they're doing. I guarantee you they would have let their brother go. They was waiting to see what black folks was going to do.
Brother Bakari Podcast.
Black people love to claim folks that hate them, right? They're a slave master, and they are ashamed of who they really are.
The 4Kast Radio.
Like, if you pray to the same deity as like your enemy, and that God blesses your enemy more than you may want to reconsider who you praying to,
And Tanzan, African Mind.
Africans generally are welcoming of everyone. Sometimes, to my consternation, I think that they should be less, welcoming.
If you love our podcast network, we would be grateful if you could rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out our website at www.kwazradio.com for more information. Thank you for tuning in. And now, back to the program.
Absolutely. Back to the program. I want to welcome in my panelists tonight. They've been the regular panelists the last couple of weeks. Let's welcome in Oni Tase from the Pro-Black Perspective. How are you this week?
I'm good, man. Another week, another Shoot the Breeze, right?
Yes,
thanks for having us.
Yes, sir. Another Saturday night Shoot the Breeze. Let's welcome our boy Buana today. Buana, how are you?
What's going on, Koku? What's going on, Oni?
Hanging in there.
Hey, Koku, I don't want to jump the gun for the night shows, but when Brother Bakari comes in, hopefully he addresses it. He is trying to start a economic war campaign against a grocery shop in New Rochelle, so I'll let him address it. I don't want to jump the gun on it, but when he comes on, I'll just remind him about it for us to wage this economic war against this grocery shop. So.
Sure, no problem. I heard that show last night. I was there quietly. I heard it. So yeah, when Bakari comes through, Bakari, if you're listening, by all means, let's talk about that at some point before the show's over tonight. Real Black Gentleman is out there saying sup to the peoples. D-Web says he's going to try to hop on like an hour piece to the panel. So I appreciate that, D-Web. In the meantime, though, you would think I would have done this while the intro was going on. Let me just quickly grab Should Be topic number 1 tonight and share that with you guys. So Should Breeze topic number 1 says a thread. White man begged to say N-word. An Arab dude puts on a white hood. Black folk sit and wait for checks. Thoughts. That's a lot covering there, but let's go to Twitter. Let me share my screen with you guys. Hold on a second. As we go to Twitter for this thread. Buana, how's the temperature down in the hometown today?
Oh, the temperature on hell. The temperature on hell. Really, it's burning, man. It's burning, Kofu. It's burning, brother.
Yeah, the temperature on some level of hell here in New York today too. Damn. So
I felt like I was back home. I ain't gonna hold you.
yeah, for real. I mean, I'll tell you the honest truth. I almost didn't make the show tonight, man. I was, when that heat have you tired and you just want to like lay down. I was there today, boy. Yeah, that heat is something else. So should it be topic number one?
Hey, Coco.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Coco. I tell you this. Don't you know BEC been on for 2 hours? We going through a heat wave and they lock off the current for 2 hours.
That BEC still on bullshit, boy. Man. Should it be topic number one? A thread. White man begged to say N-word. An Arab dude puts on a white hood. Black folks sit and wait for check. Thoughts. So let's go to this video on Twitter. Let me tee it up. First it says, this is from Tree of Logic. It says, I told you white folks that these Negroes don't give a fuck about you saying the N-word. Here's white supremacist Nick Fuentes surrounded by a bunch of ghetto hyenas cackling as he drops a huge N-bomb at Fresh and Fit. So let's check out the video.
Yeah. You can say it.
Yeah. Say it. Come on, man. I want you to say it.
For real.
Yeah.
What you got?
You want me to say it?
Yeah.
Is anyone going to hit me if I say it?
No. 2 hours. Come on, Nick. What you got?
All right, nigger.
You can say it.
Yeah. Say it. Come on, man. I want you to say it.
For real. Yeah. What you got?
You want me to say it?
Yeah.
Is anyone going to hit me if I say it?
No. 2 hours. Come on, Nick. What you got?
All right, nigger.
You can say it.
So that's the first part of it. Let me see what the rest is. Scrolling down. Here's another clip. Make sure you guys can hear me still. Yeah. Here's another clip of Nick Fuentes referring to one of the quote-unquote Pookie makers sitting at the table as his nigga. Thanks to Danny for bringing this to my attention. So Fresh and Fit gets a pass, right? So let's check out what this buffoonery is here.
Nigga. Nigga.
Goes on. Not to be outdone, Myron from the Fresh and Shit podcast puts on his favorite KKK hood so that you Negroes can see him in his true form. All right, let's see.
It's the point, Myron.
I asked for it and gave it to you. I don't know
What is the point, Myron? What is the point?
Bro, we're finished, bro.
What's the point? I don't choose this when we come on the podcast.
Magic word 3 times?
What's the point, Myron?
Listen, man.
Myron.
What's the point?
Myron.
I need to know.
I am not in agreement with this.
What is the point?
I don't agree with this. What's the point? Hey, man, I heard somebody else saying the magic word, bro. Yeah.
And y'all just recording it. It's funny.
Yeah.
Can you take it off though?
No, no, I'm not taking it off.
Disrespecting him.
All right.
Keep it on. Keep it on.
We're
Let
gonna rumble,
everybody
ninjas.
see.
All right. I asked for it and gave it to you. I don't know
What is the point, Myron? Rich?
Bro,
What is the point?
Bro, we're finished, bro. We're finished.
Fucking canceled.
I heard
What's
somebody
the
say
point?
magic
Why
word.
don't you just when we come on the podcast?
Magic word 3 times?
What's the point, Myri?
Listen, man.
Yeah, Myri.
What's the point?
Myri.
I need to know.
I am not in agreement with this.
What is the
I don't
point?
agree with this.
What's the point? Hey, man, I heard somebody was saying the magic word, bro. Yeah,
And y'all just recording it. Take it off. It's funny.
Yeah.
Can you take it off though?
No, I'm not taking it off.
Disrespecting
All right.
Keep it on. Keep it on.
Welcome
Let
to Rumble
everybody
Ninjas.
see.
All right.
Thanks for it and gave it to you. I don't know what you have.
All right. I guess that's the end of the thread, right? Yeah, I think that's the end of the thread. You know, this blew up last week, and we didn't talk about it last Saturday, of course. But these guys deserve to get their ass whooped, number one. Number two, you know, for all the flack that the black women on the panel got, these women here, I gotta say that a lot of them did seem kind of concerned and uncomfortable during this nonsense too. So I gotta point that out. Shout out to the matron who's joined us out here tonight. Real Black Gentleman called them fresh and fastest. That's a good one. I like fresh and shit, but fresh and fastest is good too. Ms. Vita is here with us tonight. Thanks for coming through, my dear. She said shameless. Trigger Happy 262 in the chat. He's here. Thanks for coming through. He says it's crazy because all those women had the nerve to have a problem with it when the podcast was closing. Their actions after the podcast makes it worse. So Trigger makes a good point. Some of them were hugged up with the dude at the end too. So even though they do look a little uncomfortable in parts of this during the show, they did end up hugging up with the guy afterwards. So that's an excellent point from Trigger Happy 262. Buana, were you aware of this story? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I saw it. I also saw a video after this scenario where a girl, one of the girls, she was all apologetic as to what she did. She said that a lot of it was set up and staged. She really didn't know going in what was going to happen. And she said her brother had to kind of school her on context, you know. So she was very apologetic about it. I think that Tariq Nasheed used it to be divisive in saying that they were a bunch of tethers, you know, all these people in the room. But it came to find out it was a mix. It was people from the continent. It was people from America. It's people from the Caribbean, Haiti. But this is just bringing light on the fact that black white supremacists, and I think that is an unspoken thing within our community. I think that our community believe and think because a person is brown or black, they have the same kind of sympathies and loyalties to the black race as we do. And I think that this is just really bringing light to the subject itself, because you have black people in black skin who hate themselves or have no loyalty to themselves, have no self-respect, you know. And even though some of the girls were squeamish, you notice none of them left. None of them had the tenacity to leave the room. Everyone want to be accepted, and it's all jovial. And even though they had some reservations, none of them got up out of their seat and left. They stayed right in the room, you know. So I have to follow your actions, not necessarily your words, you know. But there are black white supremacists that exist, and I think that this is just bringing light to the fact that there are people like that out there. You know, they have no compunction about telling you that, you know, you are in second class or coming up, you know, last because, you know, that's nature make you that way. So I think that it's good that the fact that they just put this out there, and it's a very popular show to make people aware that black white supremacists exist. And this guy, he's a Mexican. He's a Mexican. So he is also a minority, and Mexican white supremacists exist. You know, and I know that the Americas are very color centrist. You know, everything is based on skin complexion, but culture comes into play as well. You know, and but I just know that, you know, we really need to bring light to the subject that there are minority groups, including us, who don't see ourselves in a very favorable light. So I think that whether they know it or not, they was doing God work in exposing the fact that black folks and other minorities see themselves in a very low position and a very low light. You know, that's what I have to say about this.
Thank you for that, Buana. It also makes me think of you know, the concept of how unserious we are, how serious we are about being unserious. Like I'm noticing is getting to a point where what our kidnapped and enslaved ancestors went through is becoming a joke now. The further we get away from the incident, and I think that's a shame. I think that's a damn shame that we can joke on it. One thing before I go to Oni, one thing I've always noticed, particularly with stand-up comedy, I'm big on stand-up comedy. One thing I know is with black folks who do comedy and their audiences, a black guy will stand up and do comedy talking about slavery, this, that, and the other, and the white audience will laugh their ass off. You know, they'll talk about Jim Crow or some discriminate, and white folks in the audience will laugh their ass off. And it's just a big joke. How are you making a joke out of these things? I have a big problem with that.
Because black pain,
Go ahead,
because black pain and black suffering is entertainment for them. It is funny for them. Black suffering and black pain is suffering for them. Black success and black intelligence is something that is threatening. This is the language that these people have been speaking for many years, and we tend to ignore these things. My mother used to tell me, say, one of the most dangerous things in the world is an intelligent black man. She told me that from when I was very young. So I pride myself in trying to be as dangerous as possible. But this is what they enjoy. You know, black torment, black suffering is something that is entertainment. Now these days they have seek to monetize it. So we get around and we laugh about a man wearing a KKK outfit. They monetize it now. It's interesting, you know.
Yeah, very interesting. In the chat, Trigger Happy earlier said he agreed with me that they did show some concern, but it seemed somewhat fake when one kissed him, another twerked on him, another one was so happy to take a pic with him. Wow. He also says this just proves that you can't walk around this world not knowing anything about the world. Or something about the world. Political apathy is siding with the enemy. Jose is here in the chat. Shout out to Jose. I haven't seen you in a while. He says, "What is intelligent?" So I'll bring that back to Buana in a few, I guess. Let's welcome our boy D-Web. D-Web, how are you this week?
Oh, I'm good, man. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. So, What are your thoughts, Web, on Fresh and Shit or Fresh and Fastest?
Honestly, man, we know what these dudes are about, right? You know what these dudes are about. They're about that engagement. They're about bringing these Instagram thirsty wannabe influencers on these women and exploiting them as well. To me, we do a disservice when we give these people attention. These are not your people, bro, right? We live in this engagement culture where it doesn't matter if it's bad publicity, it doesn't matter if it's good publicity, it doesn't matter if it's, you being critical of this shit. The more people that talk about them, it's a dub. They knew this shit was bogus when they look at them. They knew what they were gonna get when they did this. They invited Nick Fuentes. Everybody know who Nick Fuentes is at this point. You know what Nick Fuentes is about. You know what Fresh and Fit is about. These people will monetize this, and you've seen Elon handing out stimmies, as what I call them, handing out money to all these so-called content creators. This is exactly what they want. I would recommend when you see this type of stuff come across your feed, you block this and whoever else is promoting it, because this is exactly what they want. They want the outrage. And it's like, I think I've seen a panel, a poll or something, or maybe even a study that shows that you're more likely to engage or share stuff that actually outrages you or makes you mad or offends you than you are stuff that's actually positive. And they know this, right? These people aren't stupid. They know this. They know what they know what they're doing. So to me, I would say even when this stuff comes across as a discussion that we shouldn't even talk about, these aren't our people, bro. You know, these are NPCs. These are wannabe influencers, quote unquote. These are wannabe content creators who just want to monetize bullshit, right? They don't care who they offend. They don't care who they desecrate with their nonsense. They want the clicks. The clicks are the money. So get them out of here, man. We shouldn't even be talking about these cats, man. Get them out of here, cancel them. We don't need to. They don't exist in our world. We live in a whole different world, these people. So that's all I got, bro.
I appreciate that, Webb. I do think, though, that I think ignoring them would be like the ostrich that sticks his head in the ground trying to hide from the hunter, right? I think, you can ignore it and it'll still happen. People will still be influenced by it. I do sometimes, not all the time. I don't think you must critique everything per se, but I do think sometimes you gotta step up and say, you see this shit here? This is what you don't do, right? That's just my feelings about that.
Can I retort a little bit to that, man?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, to go back to your point, it's like it's gonna exist whether you like it or not, because you don't control your media, you don't control your image, you don't control any of those things. So you pushing back is actually giving it more news, because they don't care. They're not gonna push back on you pushing back. They don't care about you because you're not their target audience. You're not their target demographic. This is one thing I think that is a disservice to us, is that we try to save everybody, bro. And you can't save everybody, bro. This whole just because you are melanated, you are one of us type of shit, it needs to die a fast death. Because that's not the case. The destruction of a black civilization speaks on this. You know what I'm saying? They send the mulattoes, they send the sellouts, they send all this stuff. So this is nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. This is a continuation of a practice that's always exists, right? When you leave your fortress and try to fight everybody in the field, that's how you lose the war. You feel me? You build up your castle, you build up your people, you build up your army till you're stronger than them. Then you can go out in the field. But that's my thoughts on it. I respect your opinion, brother.
Oh no, yeah. Anything I say, the way I say anything you guys say is not antagonistic to one another. I just think, we all have our thoughts on it, and like Jose said, it is a catch-22 of sorts. If you talk about it, you're promoting it. If you don't talk about it, people are still being influenced by it. So it's such a shit show that what we're dealing with. It's insane. Afro Native World in the chat says he ignores all this nonsense and only gets it through this channel because you all have a Pan-African land. It's a catch-22, like Jose said. Brother Bakari is out there saying peace and black power to the panel in the chat. Bakari, when you have a chance, sometimes later on, you could come on and talk about that New Rochelle situation you was talking about on your show yesterday. Trigger Happy 262 Plus says, if there was any sort of community, all of these women should have gotten consequences. As I throw it to Oni. Oni, what are your thoughts in general? And what do you think those consequences should be for the women?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, that's tough. But as far as I can tell, this is embarrassing. Obviously, the woman with the green shirt and the red hair, she claims to be like this super pro-black kind of person. She also was like, oh, but we got to go for trans rights, this, blah, blah, blah. Like, where are you guys when the trans are getting beat up and shit like that, right?
That was her, huh?
Come again?
Oh, that was her in that one tweet I saw you comment to.
Yeah. So that was her. She was like, she had like a picture of her arm raised, like Black Power type stuff. But she was also like, where are you guys when the trans are getting beat up, and where are you when this is happening? And, you know, just a bunch of LGBT stuff. That said, like, that's the problem with us not having like us not participating in our own education. You know, we as a, like, I'll say it this way. Du Bois said it. Du Bois was talking about Atlanta. He said, look, Atlanta has two ways to go, right? They either follow the spiritually upright way of doing things, or they follow mammon, right? Mammon is the lust for money or something, right? These women are sitting here, I think, because if they were to get up, if they were to protest, if they were to be serious, they won't get paid. You know, Brother Bakari used to play this thing. It's like, for the love of money. You know what I'm saying? That's what we have to understand as a people, right? You live in this capitalist economy, right? But you don't have capital. And what happens is that because we don't have capital, everybody's looking for some way to make money. And these guys right here, Fresh and Fit, I don't know who they are, right? I'm being told the guy is not an Arab, he's a Mexican. Oh, maybe Nick Fuentes is the Mexican, I don't know. But they found a way to make good money, right? And these women haven't. So way how the world works is that people with money is, you know, pay other people without money to do things for them, right? That's what we call work. That's what we call jobs, right? It should inform us that we have to find a way to generate capital in a real sense. Not generating capital is really the problem that we have. You know, as far as, you know, what these women should, so on and so forth, this is what they're doing is broke people activity. You know why I wouldn't do this shit? Because I don't need to. You know what I mean? I got money in the bank. I don't need to. I'm looking at Trigger Happy's comment that came up. I'm not sure if they actually get paid. The only type of money they may get is through attention and exposure, unless Timon and Pumbaa pay their guests, which I doubt, since the point is to belittle, right? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they get paid, but obviously that you know, if anybody knows about American women, they're not trying to go nowhere unless there's some sort of pay. There's some sort of economic financial benefits. I'm pretty sure that exposure might be pretty pretty intense, or something. Come again?
A lot of times when you have these like model, you know, wannabe model types, they will do an event just to get a plate of food at the end of it. Just to get a plate of food. Like, it's not even no big money. It's just a little meal ticket. Like literally a plate of food. But go ahead.
Damn, okay. Yeah, but I mean, like, shit, if you ain't got no money, you're gonna look for a plate of food. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you gotta eat. Some women, like my experience, my exposure to American women, that's why I said I'm gonna be celibate here, right? My experience with American women is that, yeah, a lot of them don't even have a plate of food. You know, a lot of them don't have food. Because the thing is that a lot of people all over the world, really, but a lot of people are bums. And these are just, you know, maybe one of them is a good looking bum. Y'all see her, right? But for the most part, they're just bums. And the thing is, what do we do about the bums in our community? Some bums, like this Fresh and Fit people, they figure, hey, look, we could just do some dumb shit. People are gonna engage, you're gonna get so on and so forth, right? And other bums are like, hey, you know, we could sit up there and look stupid, right? And we'll get a plate of food. But that's the thing. It's like there's just too many damn bums in the black community, really. And a lot of us just kind of overlook that. But that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, that you know, as you mentioned, you know, too many bums. That reminds me of that conversation we had some weeks back, where the white boy was feeding the black guy a banana. Like, we would be surprised, because, you know, a lot of the stuff I used to keep up with when I was young, And I remember being in certain venues in the city and stuff like that. Whenever they bring these kind of pretty women out to dress a certain way and all that kind of stuff, yeah, they're just giving them a meal. In fact, I mentioned comedians. A lot of those comedians, when they first start out, they're just getting a little meal pass to eat at the restaurant or something afterwards, or maybe get a drink or something. Like, there is a bum problem. You're right. And what are you gonna do about the bums? Webb had to drop off. He'll be back. Is there any last words for this problem?
Yeah, yeah. I have some words for it. I listened to D Webb. I agree. I am in the middle between D Webb and Koku. Because when D Webb says that these are not our people, in terms he really saying we must differentiate ourselves from this class of people. You know, build our ark, our Noah's ark, go on our ark, and wait until the rains come. You know, because these people are gonna be slaughtered. You know, these people are gonna eventually. Then I think of Hitler and the Jews. And when Hitler first started with his commentary in terms of what he thought about the Jews is like, well, we're gonna ignore him. You know, he's just making a bunch of noise. You know, we shouldn't pay attention to these kinds of characters because they really don't make no sense. They're not gonna. They just collapse. They cartoon characters. But eventually, and unfortunately, Hitler was able to galvanize enough people to eventually put the Jews in ovens. So I'm thinking if the Jews, who were powerful at one point within German society, did say something about it, maybe the results wouldn't have been what the results eventually came to. So I kind of like it. I'm in the middle. Should I say something? Should I lend my voice to these kinds of situations and things? You know, because these people are nonsense. They are nuisance. You know, they should be ignored. But on the other end is slaughter. The slaughter of our people. You know, I can't just put a eye to the eventuality of that actually happening. So who I can make aware of certain things, I should make aware. I should lend my voice to make aware of what actually is happening, because some of these people don't know any better. And maybe the possibility exists. Maybe if they knew better, they would do better. Not all of them, some of them. So you may be able to save a few. You know, so I'm in betwixt and between paying no mind and paying some mind. You know, but I'll leave it there.
Well, let me jump in there. So you mentioned the Jews, right? They couldn't stop Germany. The thing that you were supposed to do if you were a Jew was leave Germany. Okay, that's all you're supposed to do. They couldn't stop Hitler's machine. So, you know, that example of, hey, you know, if I were a Jew not to say, yeah, if you were a Jew and you stayed to talk and shit, you would have been baked like the rest of them. There were a lot of Jews who stayed to talk and shit and warn people, and they just ended up in ovens. You know, the point is, get out of, like, do not wait for your turn in the oven. That's it. Just do not wait. I mean, luckily for you, you're not in America, so, you know, you're already good. But the point is that a lot of black folk in America, y'all, come on, for real. You're headed to the oven. You know, because the thing is this, we saw the writing on the wall. I saw the writing on the wall with, you know, all them other idiots before. You know what I mean? First time I saw Tariq Nasheed, I was like, nah, this dude, I'm not gonna mess with him. Right? And I said, yeah, nah, Tariq Nasheed's a clown. That didn't change nothing. Like the thing that, again, we go back to capital. The thing we don't understand is how much money is moving behind closed doors. Right? All you got to do is look at the house that Tariq Nasheed lives in. Just look it up. Look at that house and ask yourself, how can this guy afford that house if he ain't got no damn job? I mean, he living in a big house in a popular area. You know, basically he got rent up the wazoo. How he do that? He ain't got no job. Come on. It's common sense that there's something else going on. And the fact is that if that's something else is going on and it got nothing to do with you, you can't control it. So you just got to say, okay, look, this is the system that's here. All right, let me get out of here. You know what I mean? Let me get out of here and go to a system that works for me. Because this system right here, these are, at least one of them is a beautiful woman, right? At least one of them is a beautiful woman. And actually, I don't even know, because you don't know who's a woman nowadays, but at least one of them might be a beautiful woman, right? That said, this is what they're reduced to. And you got to say to yourself, because you can't stop that. You can't say that. You don't know any of these people. But all you know is that there's just going to be more and more into the future, because all of them sat there and said, let me get that meal. So you promised me some KFC? All of them said that. That's it.
Only I was going to move to the next topic, but you reminded me about something that came up when this fiasco occurred. And that's a lot of people were saying that between the host and a lot of the women, because someone pointed out that like 4 of the women are like Haitian or something like that. They said, oh, these people don't care about the Black American or the African in America's experience here. So it's funny. It can be a joke. A dude, a half Arab, I think he is half Arab and half Bayesian or something like that from Barbados. A dude like that can put a KKK hood on, right? Like, I don't think too many of the oppressed or the ancestors of the oppressed in America would do that, right? But the word is that, folks didn't care because it's not their history. What do we do about that type of thing? Because I do believe that sometimes we have to bring this awareness and we have to use these examples. I think it was Buana who said it, that one of these women's brother had to pull them aside and kind of school them, if true. What do we do about that sentiment, though, that, Caribbean folks don't give a shit about the African in America's experience?
Let me jump in on here quick. So I think it's what Trigger Happy saying, but I think Brother Kamji verse pointed out that of the 6 women, 4 of them were pure Americans, right? The FBA, whatever. They were Americans, and then the other 2 were Haitian and American. Of the women. Now, granted, the 2 dudes, I think they are not, they're obviously not African American, but of the women, 4 of them were like basically all of them were African American, but 2 of them were mixed with Haiti and America. So that's the thing. It's like it really, and obviously, I guess Trigger Happy was pointing out that some of them might be mixed with white folk, but that's another thing altogether. It's like, if you were to say that these quote unquote African Americans love their history so much, then why the hell why are they the second most mixed diaspora, or the second most mixed African group on the planet? Like right behind Brazil. And that's all I'm saying.
Bonnie, want to add anything there?
No, he is right. And the one of them who was supposedly a Haitian American, she said that she didn't grow up with her father. She said that her father left, who was a Haitian. She said she grew up with an African American mom. She said that's all she really knows. She grew up as an African American. But needless to say, the problem is a global one. The problem is not necessarily an American one. It's a global, the self-hatred that we have for one another is a global one. It's not specific to the United States. It's a global one. You have women in the Bahamas who swirl. You have women all over the Caribbean and Africa. So I can't just limit it to African American women or men. It's a global problem. That's all I would add.
All right, thank y'all for that. Let's move on to Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 then. Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 says, further evidence of the cotton picking industry in the U.S. This takes us, I believe, to YouTube.
Convict leasing actually comes out of this system of white convicts, meaning white convicts, their labor, right, was used by sheriffs and local municipalities in the Old South, right, and even in the Old North, but in the Old South. And then and this begins, of course, in the early 18th century, right, early 1700s. Now, at that moment, that era, African peoples and their progeny, their descendants, they are chattel, right? They're categorically, in terms of their status in society, they're chattel, they're enslaved, right? Commodities, right? And so they can't be convicts, because to be a convict means you have to be a free person. That makes sense, right? So once we clear that we jump over that hurdle, so they couldn't be classified as convicts, right? They're chattel. What happens in 1865 with the Emancipation Proclamation, which didn't do anything, 13th Amendment, which roughly says that involuntary servitude or slavery is prohibited in the United States and its outlying islands, right? Except as a punishment for crime. Now, with these legally emancipated people of African ancestry, they could be criminals now, because they're no longer occupying the category of slave, right? And so what the convict leasing structure already in place with white convicts, right? This is a little known fact that people don't appreciate about this debate about so-called new Jim Crow. It's the same Jim Crow, right? Is that white convict slaving then morphs to include now people of African ancestry. So the 13th Amendment doesn't create it. It allows for, it opens it up, right, into a wider field. Now that African peoples and people of African ancestry could be criminals, right, occupy the category of criminals, their labor now could be enslaved or re-enslaved, right, as criminals, as convicts, right? And so now their labor could be brought to bear building railroads. So the railroad companies, and by the way, the South is now industrializing, like Mobile, Alabama, and Birmingham. The South is industrializing, right, on a wide scale. And so they need laborers. But guess what? They don't have free labor complements of quote unquote slavery. But remember, slavery is not a condition, it's not a institution. Slavery is a power relationship. And this is important because it means slavery can and does exist without the chattel, without the chains, without the whips, right? Without all the decorative features of slavery as we've come to know it in the books and in the movies. And so as such, you have Virginia, which is a leading state, the Confederate state, and the leading founding state, because Virginia colony was the first made colony. And of course, you had the Massachusetts colony, in the north, right? In the south is Virginia, and Virginia is important. I want to highlight it because in Virginia law, Virginia had it on the books and still has it on the books, whereby it referred to, convicts as slaves of the state. I kid you not. I can find the statute where it says that. And to me, if you think about it, and those watching it will kind of blow it away. If you are a convict, you are a slave of the state. The state owns your bodily form. It owns your labor. It owns your being, right? You're a slave of the state as a convict. There are many of the companies that use convict and prison labor, whereby their labor is enslaved, and they gain, depending upon the prison. There are three kinds of prison, just for your audience. There are federal prisons, and there are state prisons, then there are private prisons. The fastest growing are private prisons. State and federal prisons, they are a minority in terms of the numbers of their numbers, and therefore how many prisoners that they have in their cells. And so in that configuration, in terms of the sheer numbers and the kinds of prisons, right? It means that big time companies use the enslaved labor of these prisoners to produce anything from shoes to computers. So Dell Computer, Boeing, this multinational, right? aeronautics company, AT&T, right? Your mobile device carriers, and so much more. Target, IKEA, right? Use the enslaved labor of convicts. And to go further, states like Alabama and Mississippi, they literally have plantations, meaning old plantations from the Old South in the 18th century plantations, as prisons and penitentiaries, where, not to stop, prisoners whose labors are enslaved are on the fields producing food crops with white men and horses and whips. Now just think about that. Visualize that. I wish I was a comedian making this up as part of some punchline for a joke, but I'm not, right? We have data on this. In fact, there's good reporting. New York Times has some of this, right? The Atlantic has some of this kind of reporting. And so there's evidence of this happening right now in 2023. In fact, some of these plantations, and I kid you not, so there's a prison on a plantation, right? That's producing, these crops, including cotton. Guess what? And this is little known. The United States produces cotton at a rate whereby on the world market it is a third or fourth behind China and India. It has a large global share of cotton production. Coming from who? Convict laborers whose labor is imprisoned, right? On these plantations, too many institutions benefit from the labor of these convicts for any policymaker or Congress, right? Which is the lawmaking body, to enact a law to end the enslavement of labor, meaning they'll still be in prison, but their labor can't be enslaved, right? And basically outsourced by these companies, multinational companies. They won't do that because what's at stake? What's at stake is billions and billions of dollars. I just mentioned the stat about the cotton industry and how much the U.S. has a share of the global cotton market. Think about the global market of Boeing. Think about the global market of AT&T. Think about the global market of these other large multinational corporations, right? There's too much at stake to be risked by some law, right? Which, by the way, has to be enforced, right? And even laws in the books requires the Senate, it can change it, or it can enact it, but it requires the Senate to have a 2/3 vote, which I've discussed in some writing of mine about this very issue or very matter of convict labor and enslavement of convict labor. So there is, and there will never be any political will, as people like saying in mainstream discourse, because there's too much economic benefit at stake. And these are castaways anyway. In other words, remember the Virginia statutes I quoted a moment ago. These are theoretically and practically slaves of the state, right? And so what value do they have, right? Except for producing, the labor producing for, these markets. And they also serve as a ideological nourishment, because these convicts whose labor is enslaved serve to reinvigorate the power relationships that slavery established. That's why slavery is not about an institution or a condition. It's a power relationship. And so by being constantly reminded about the power differential between those people of African ancestry that predominate these prisons at these private, state, and federal levels, more so in the former than the latter, then it keeps essentially replenishing, keeps reminding of the good old days, of the way things should be, right? And so in many ways, ideologically, the United States and the white republic needs people of African ancestry, both men and women, in prison. And as Malcolm argued, what is the U.S. but a large prison? It's a prison colony, right? But in the precise sense of the prison, meaning a particular facility that houses convicts, right? In both cases, it needs that ideological renourishment, right? That figure of the man. In other words, those of you viewers that may be wondering, what am I talking about? If you're on the streets and let's say prisons were abolished, as some people have been asking, right? Which is not going to happen. Prisons were abolished; they don't exist anymore, right? Then would you fear a man like me walking down the street at night? Would you fear a man like me in the elevator next to you in your purse? You might, but it wouldn't be because of that, right? In other words, I'm the excuse me, you can cut this out. I am the about to choke. I am the archetypical boogeyman. White society needs me to nourish its violence against me and people like me. And so if you remove the prison, you remove a vector or a reminder of my criminality that's going to happen, right? You remove my terrorism that's going to happen. That's why you got to have the prisoners. You got to have the convicts. You got to have the boogeyman.
I'm glad they didn't play music at the end. I always get a copyright strike when I play videos from this channel. Also, they didn't edit out the choking part. That's interesting. Further evidence of the cotton picking industry in the U.S. We got D-Web back. D-Web, what say you to what you saw just now?
I don't think nobody's scared of that brother, to be honest. I was not intimidated whatsoever. But
go ahead.
But yeah, it's to me it was a little bit of propaganda also mixed with some truth in there to me. Because the reason the prison industry exists, or America has more prisoners than quite any industrialized nation in the world at this point, is because the prison industry is profitable, period. It also boosts the economy in a capitalist system to have a certain percentage of your people locked up, so that when you post these unemployment numbers and all this other stuff, it looks good. Of course, you're going to choose the most downtrodden, the least wealth having, who can't afford the good lawyers, people to in prison, the people who can't, pay to get their way out of the system, which is more than likely going to be Black people, a good percentage of Hispanic people as well, right? You're going to lock those people up because they can't afford to fight it. You got people right now locked up with a $500 bond. I know people like that right now with $5,000, which equates to $500 to get out because you got to post 10%. It's easy. They're easy target, so you always go after the low hanging fruit. Period, point blank. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, and then a lot of his facts about the prison industry is actually dependent on the state. Quite a few states have actually, due to the backlash that we've had due to them posting books like the new Jim Crow and stuff like that, have actually abolished private prisons. Other states have actually increased it. So it just pretty much depends on the state as far as what you're talking about. The federal system pretty much doesn't even, I think the federal system almost doubled, which is just funny because you're talking about right now a system that's run by the quote unquote Democrat, right? You have a Democrat president, but if you look at the numbers from 2000 to 2020 or so, or 2023 now, federal prison, private prisoners have actually increased, right? So Kamala ain't getting you out the joint. But, also, to me, it also depends on what you're in there for, I know people who have terrorized Black people, who have terrorized the Black community, If you in there for murder of another brother, you in there for rape and all this other stuff, I really don't give a fuck what they do to you, to be honest with you. You feel me? I think Brother Bakari kind of hits on this where we do this great fight for the prisoners. Well, it depends on what you're for. If you really were sincere about getting the brothers who don't deserve to be in there out, you'd be against the war on drugs, which is a bunch of bullshit, right? We know the war on drugs is some nonsense to lock up more Black people. However, if you're in there for rape, you're in there for murder of another brother, these types of things, I really don't give a fuck if the state does enslave the fuck out of you. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's a lot of nuance in there that I think he kind of skipped on because that's not really good things to talk about with this particular type of interview he's doing right now. So that's what I got, bro.
Thank you for that, D-Web. I agree with you. I think once you kill another Black person, harm them, rape them, or whatever, you're not one of my folks. So I'm not one of these people who always screaming free 90. Like, dude, 90 killed 3 people. What are you talking about? You know, like right now there's this YNW Mello, I think is the name of the dude. Like this dude was running around with this King Vaughn character. These dudes are not good dudes. I'm not gonna waste up my time following no case talking about free this dude. You know, so I get your point 100%, D-Web. Let's hear from Oni next on this. Further evidence of the cotton picking industry in the U.S.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like the you know, like when I was younger, this older brother, you know, I was out, you know, on the sidewalks. You know how young people are. I'm on the sidewalks, saying, "Hey guys, we blah blah liberation, blah blah, prison industrial complex, blah blah," right? And his older brother was like, "Man, I used to be there," and I'm like, "You haven't been here." He's like, "Nah, man, I just give up, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Bro, I hope I don't become like you." You know what I mean? I don't want to. I was like, I didn't want to, become a pessimist, right? I became like that, brother. But it's like, what I mean by that is that it's like I'm hearing this dude. It's a grown man. I'm hearing him. And he's like, "Yo, you know how the state just wants to use black labor, blah blah blah." It's like, okay, but what do you expect the state to do exactly? Like, what do you expect white people to do with black people in their country? You know, like if I went to any other country, right? Well, actually, honestly, if I go to any other country, they'll probably tell me I can't work. But of course, I want to work. I actually had a cousin who went to, one of those African countries. And they told her she had to pay big money, She had to pay money in order to get a working, a license to work. And in so doing, and of course, that doesn't mean that her getting a job is going to be able to provide for her. It just means that, you don't really have a right to work in most places on the planet, but you have a right to work in America for whatever reason. Obviously, they brought you here to work, but I still do not understand, what do you expect from the people who kidnapped you for labor? Like, what do you expect them to do with you? You know what I mean? It's like, imagine this. Now, I'm not a kidnapper or nothing, but imagine if I did kidnap like a whole child or something, or a whole, a child might sound weird, but like I just kidnapped a grown ass, woman, right? And then she's in obviously having my basement or whatever, right? And she's like, "Why are you not letting me watch Netflix? And why are you not, and it's like, okay, what do you think our relationship is exactly? You know what I mean? It's just like, now obviously, I'm not kidnapping individuals, but the thing is that these white people did kidnap us. You know what I'm saying? Like they're literally our kidnappers. So it's just kind of weird that we're just like, hey, like why is everything not peaches and roses with us? It's like, well, because you were kidnapped and you have the opportunity to leave, right? And I understand if you don't want to leave, right? But you have the opportunity to leave, you stay, and they're going to treat you like shit. And then you stay longer and they continue to treat you like shit. And you stay longer and then you go back and say, today you're sitting down, you're like, they used to treat me, they treat me like shit. Yeah. Why would they not treat you like shit? That's what I'm not getting when I hear people, say these sort of things. Like at first, when I first heard about the convict leasing system, I was like, okay, damn, I didn't know that. But that was 20 years ago. Now I'm just like, okay, it makes a lot of sense that they had a bunch of black folk who they wanted they wanted cheap labor from. So, instead of going to Africa and stealing more black folk, they just used the black folk they had for more free labor, for more cheap labor. Like, what do you expect them to do? I don't understand what, like, sometimes I wonder, what do black people, particularly in America, but really black people all over the planet, what do you want from these white people at this point? Like, what do you want from them? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the interview here might have just been an awareness kind of lesson as opposed to an appeal. But I do get your understanding. Most of our people, it's not off key to ask a question. What you really want from this white? If you understand the history, then you're supposed to understand your current predicament. You know, that's the point of history. That's you understand your current predicament and why it is, right? What do you want from this guy? How are you you're trying to be able to trust it. Why would you think you could trust this guy? Why would you think he's doing anything, for your benefit? It's weirdo stuff. With that said, though, Buana, further evidence of the cotton picking industry in the U.S. What say you?
Okay, so I get the fact that you need prison. I'm not an advocate to even suggest that prison should be abolished. It's a nonsense. We have monsters out here who need to get put into a kennel, a human kennel. So I get the fact that a state or federal government have the need to house people who commit acts against other citizens within the state or even in other states. So you need federal governments, federal prisons, and state prisons become a necessary thing. I get that. My problem with private prisons is they for profit. So a wise thinking capitalist, a wise thinking capitalist can say, I have shares in this private prison. So for me to get money from this private prison, I have to fill this private prison to capacity to see a ROI, to see a return on my investment, right? So I'm going to create outcomes to ensure that these private prisons are filled to capacity. So what am I going to do? Since I already have shares in this private prison, where am I going to go? I'm going to go to the music industry, and I'm going to pay people to create narratives or a mindset that is going to influence them to do things. Maybe they may do it without me being influenced. Maybe they may do things without me whispering in their ear. But I'm going to try to create guaranteed outcomes. So if I pay musicians or if I pay people in the music industry to create a narrative where people will fill my prison, my private prison, and at the end of the day, I will see massive profits from it. I think that is kind of insidious because you're being predatory. Yeah, you're being predatory because you are helping to create narratives, not necessarily to improve the society, but to fill your pockets with money. You know what I mean? And it's like if they fill my private prison with free labor, then if I'm in the tech industry, in the clothing industry, or whatever, free labor is always gonna mean that I could sell my products for a lesser cost than someone who have to pay for that labor outside of prison. So now my profits will shoot out of the window now, because I could sell my products for a cheaper cost, and the shares in my business will go up and up and up and up. I think it's very predatory, very predatory. I think that federal government should have prisons, because you're talking about the laws of the country. I think that the state should ensure or warehouse some of these monsters that exist within our society. But for-profit prisons, I kind of have an issue with that because I know capitalists think on a level of we just trying to get our bottom line, and our bottom line is money, however we can get it. So even if we have to put monies into different places to ensure that our prison is going to be filled to capacity, we're gonna make that happen. So that's for me, that's the insidious nature of private prisons, and that's the problem I have with private prisons.
In the chat, thank you, Bonner, for that. In the chat, Ms. Vidya says it would be okay if it were only the monsters in prison. However, this government keep creating laws to catch up our people on pettiness to ensure prison industrialization. She said old Joe wrote policy as senator, which increased black prison population. Prop was crack bill. Jose is still out there in the chat. He says known rappers have spoken of events where people of the prison industry met with known rappers and producers to do exactly that. I believe it was a rapper from Bone Thugs and Harmony. So Jose is referring to this talk of there was a meeting in the 90s among some of the bigger performers in hip hop and rap in particular to produce the gangster rap or reality rap type genre, to push that heavily, and I guess some people agreed to that. I think that's what Jose is referring to. Hey, is there any other last thoughts on this topic before we move on?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to just reinforce. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to reinforce. If you kidnap somebody, right, and then the kidnapped person is free to go, right? They shouldn't stick around. There's no sense in sticking around. That's where it really begins to boggle the mind. If because like I said, if I were to kidnap a woman, keep her in my basement, and just be mean or whatever, right? After I say, oh, okay, I'm caught, I can't do this anymore, whatever. If she says, well, so what next? Right? You're going to say to yourself, what kind of what's wrong with this woman? I mean, obviously, I'm a bad person, right? But when the abused finds out, like when the abused gets liberated from the abuser, right? And they say, okay, well, what's next for us, boss? Right? That's where it's like, okay, something is really up. And I think that's an underaddressed sentiment. That's all I'll say. Thanks, man.
No problem. Webb, you wanted to touch on this comment you made in the chat?
Sure. I just hate the whole it's this trash media, or it's this, because white people in this country just absorb just as much propaganda and trash TV and media as anybody else here, yet you don't see the same numbers. So to me, it is deeper than that, and I think it's just an easy way to justify a lot of things we see in the black community as far as, the increasing, crime or increasing prisoners or increasing degeneracy in general. It's like, oh, the media's true. Well, turn the damn TV off, man. Take the tablet out of your kid's head, man. Put a timer on their screen time. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, it's deeper than that. And I hate the cop out to say like, oh, it's gangster rap. That's why the black community is in shambles. Nah, it's deeper than that, yo. It's way deeper than that. Have y'all heard metal? Have y'all heard any of this death metal and shit some of these people listen to? And yet, you don't see the same type of things in that community. So to me, I just hate to use that as an excuse. That's all I got, man.
Thanks for that, Webb. Let me double back to Oni for a second. Ms. Vita is wondering, in your analogy about the kidnapped sticking around, which I agree with, are you blaming black folks for their own condition?
I'll say it this way. One time I was, like I said, I used to talk to people on the street. One lady was, I think she was she was getting paid to pass out flyers for like a hair salon or something like that. So I'm talking to her. I'm kind of like, come to my political meeting because, I'm trying to save everybody, And she just this raggedy looking woman, but still, you trying to, you talking or whatever. She's like, I can't, I'm with my boyfriend. He's abusive, And I'm like, okay. That's not good. You should probably leave him or something, right? And she's like, nah, man, sex is too good. And so I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, he punches me, batters me, all that stuff. The sex good. And I'm just like, okay. I mean, at the time I probably was more sympathetic, but it's not a question of who's at fault as much as I'm really asking, what do you expect? You know what I mean? If you stick around with your abuser, what do you expect is going to happen? Right? There's a basic principle, or there's a common phrase that says, if it is not broken, don't fix it. The white man is going to have animals in the zoo. Why? Because he turns a pretty profit having animals in the zoo. But the profit he gets from animals in the zoo doesn't compare to the profit he gets off of you. You know what I mean? When I go to work for this white boy, right? He pays me, whatever, right? And he generates off of me more, obviously, and much more than a zoo animal, but he's not going to free the zoo animal. So why would he change what he's doing to me? I don't mean to curse because we're talking to a sister, but why would he change what he's doing to me if I'm sticking around? I don't make it cost more for him. And that's what it comes back to. It's like this person abuses you, this person kidnapped you, this person maligned you, this person has been doing this stuff for the last how many years? It's on the books. You're the slave of the state. It's on the books. Slavery is abolished except for under punishment of law, right? It's on the books. And even with all that, we say, well, I think he's being a little unfair to me. No shit. If he gets away with profit, Ida B. Wells told us the white man's dollar, the dollar is the white man's God, right? And to stop that is to stop many outrages that he has. The thing is that we're not threatening his money. We help him get it more. You saw, like D. Webb was saying, the richest man on the planet was like, I'm going to buy Twitter and I'm going to give a bunch of these white content creators, not just white content creators, obviously, but just I'm going to give a bunch of people the stimmy. Why? Because we are generating wealth for him just off that. Now, obviously, Twitter's a failing project, but notwithstanding what I'm saying, long story short, yeah, the abuser's going to abuse. That's what he does. The hammer is going to beat the nail, or it's going to hammer. That's what they do. White folk are going to white folk. So my question is, why are we surprised that white folk are white folk? That's my question. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I also wonder, why are we so kind of afraid to be away from them? I wonder about that. Why are we so afraid to be away from them? Does anyone have any other last words here? All right, let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 3. Shoot the Breeze topic number 3 says, someone said, we need original black stories from black creators, not race swaps, folks, to support this to the 100th degree. Are they right? This, of course, came with a link. It's taking us back to Twitter. So it's a tweet from Discussing Films. And hold on a second. Why is this doing? Let me tee it up for a second. So Discussing Film tweets out all episodes of Kazazimoto. And, I actually started watching this late one night recently, actually, within the week. It's interesting what I saw. All episodes of Kazazimoto Generation Fire are now streaming on Disney+. The anthology series is developed by rising animation talent from 6 African nations. So let's watch the...
Is this sponsored?
Is this tweet sponsored?
No, I mean, you did talk about how good the show is, Is this sponsored?
No, I didn't give a thumbs up or thumbs down. I started watching it. It was late. So I can't even really remember all of the story, but it looked decent if it's African animators. That's what I said to myself. If it's African animators, it looks decent. We're starting to get, I guess, in the game a little bit. But now here, I realize it's a Disney Plus show. So it has to be Disney that's doing it. I'm assuming the animation. So I don't know. But anyway, let's take a look and then we'll discuss it.
Open your eyes. It is not what we have, but what we do.
Let's go.
We are headed to the big leagues, Jaya Army. From the ruins of great Zimbabwe!
You are a disgrace to your name, kiddo.
I should be out there making them pay!
Move?
You will not have him again!
You chose this fate.
You think that's farce? Watch this.
All right, let's play. Ready to meet your ancestors?
So already in the chat, you got Trigger Happy saying that this looked really good. It's owned by Disney, but this looks good, so I'm definitely supporting it. He says, my only thing is I don't know why people have a problem with the quote-unquote the race swap criticism is unfair. No race swap is stupid. This is what you do. The next step is us making our own studios. He says, I'm going to watch this with obviously a critical eye, but it looks good. That second to last point you made is an interesting one. Oftentimes I criticize the race swap thing, and I particularly criticize when our people are making a big deal of it. Like there's this channel on YouTube. I'll call the name. This guy, a black guy named E-Man's Reviews. And I realize E-Man is a dude, I'm not trying to mess with his money, but I realize he's pandering to a wide audience. So he wouldn't want to get into a lot of the deeper themes, black nationalist type themes and, stuff like that. But, to sit up for hours sometimes critiquing what these white folks do, like Disney is doing with a black character, to me it's insane. Put that effort into creating collectives that can actually produce the things that you want to see. So that is I do critique the race swap thing. I get it though. I get when you're starting out, especially you do what is familiar, and then you differentiate. I get that too. That's what folks want to do. That's fine. But let's not stay on the race swapping thing too long. Let's get to we can produce these films and ourselves. Anyway, that's my spiel on that. The prompt says, the prompt says, should be something number 3. Someone said, we need original black stories from black creators, not race swaps. Folks who support this to the 100th degree. Are they right? I would say yes. Even though it's Disney, let's encourage these African creators that they collaborated with into telling these types of stories. So let's do that. D-Web, what say you to what you just saw?
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. If it's Disney, I ain't supporting shit. I know the history behind Disney. I know the history behind Walt Disney. Maybe I'll get in my conspiracy bag. I'm deep in that. But, I will never support deals with the devil. The same thing as the lesser of two evil things. You're going to end up in the same place. When you go to that crossroads and you make a deal with the devil, they're going to input their agenda at some point. I guarantee you some LGBTQ plus XYZ stuff going to pop up, maybe a tranny or two. It's going to be something that pops up in this Okay, because that's what Disney does. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to let me personal story, yo. I'm sitting here, trying to watch some with my toddler, who has a Netflix account, and and it's supposed to be tailored for this age demographic. The number one trending thing on that Netflix was like a cartoon with a gay plot line in it, low key. You know what I'm saying? I had to really watch it to see it. So I'm not supporting anything Disney does. Disney wants to stick around. They're a company. You know where the world is trending. We've done the stats at where the world is trending. We've done the stats on who has a growing population, who will be the next consumer hub. It will be Africa. Therefore, they are pandering, which Disney should do. If I was a company like Disney, I would pander to black people because there's going to be the biggest consumer. So to me, that's some bull. There's plenty of original black creators out here who not affiliated with Disney who you can support. But when you make deals with the devil, don't be surprised when your ass get hot. That's all I got, bro.
Sorry, I couldn't find the goddamn mute button. Web, I feel you on that. I do feel you on that. The last point you made about all the other, in this case, animators and stuff, I don't know if we know them. Jose is saying that, maybe I'm underestimating. Let me find the comment. Jose in the chat is saying, do not underestimate Africa's potential with animation and 3D design. Even the diaspora Africans are higher up than you would expect. A Ugandan designer is top in Britain. And that's an interesting point. He also mentioned Black Sands, which I think Webb and Oni also purchased or supported as well as I. So I get your point about making that deal with that devil. But again, I could be wrong, but the way that I would learn about these 6 African collaborators is through their partnership. I doubt I would have heard anything about them, without said collaboration. So that's the kind of messed up position I think we're in, that a lot of our folks who are doing things, we wouldn't know unless there's a white cosign, because we don't have those channels. We haven't created those communication channels that gets that information out. And honestly, I think the way our people are en masse is that they're not really checking on who's the animator, and that is African or 6 African folks. I think that's the other big problem we have too. We don't really check for who's doing things, who's moving and shaking, so to speak, in the black world. But with that said, let's go to Buana. Buana, what's you?
I personally think that Disney is a smart company. Disney is a smart company, and you deal probably these animators, and I'm guessing, but these animators are young African people who may not understand the business. They understand the tech side. They understand the dutiful side of creating these beautiful images and creating stories, but they don't understand the business, the long-term business. And as I look at this, I am saying to myself that they didn't need Disney. They didn't need them. I know though, on the corporate side of the business side, Disney probably offered them a beautiful package, a beautiful buy. And when you're dealing with possibly hungry people, they're looking at the money, the short-term money. And there's an important thing. I was listening to an interview by Master P. Master P said when he got into the industry, the first guy offered him $1 million and he turned it down, only having $100 in his pocket. And he said to his brother, because his brother was like, man, we broke. Why wouldn't you take $1 million deal from this guy? He's like, if this guy offered me $1 million, imagine how much my content is actually worth. Imagine how it's probably worth 10 times that. And I wish, I don't know who these young people have talking to them. I would want to talk to a Master P with this kind of situation. Because the bigger picture is they're gonna have the masters, they're so-called masters or this content, and they're gonna make hundreds of millions of dollars, even though they give them the initial buy and maybe $1 million to create the content themselves. I'm saying you don't need them. Jose in the tech industry understand that the internet has leveled the playing field against a whole lot of these big corporations. You didn't need the corporation. You could have actually sell this product to millions of people on the continent and even in the Western world without going through Disney. But Disney can give you that big captivating buy. And you so focused on that initial buy, you don't see that you could make 10 times, 10 times generational money. Generational money. Disney may understand that, but these young people who probably produce this content would not. And you need someone and whispering in your ear and saying, "Hey, look, this you don't need Disney. You could do this without Disney. It may take a little bit longer, but you're gonna get that money and you're gonna own the rights to your content. Once you sell that content to Disney, then they control everything. All the products is gonna come from this. Any dolls and cartoons and physical images that they could possibly sell to the consumers for this content, they gonna own that too. So you can get that initial buy, but you're gonna get the residuals. I only wish, man. I only wish they had that long-term vision. And I understand that when you have a need, you have to fill that need immediately sometimes. So you won't see that sparkling $1 million or $2 million. I gotta take that. But I think that they didn't need Disney with this particular deal. They didn't need them at all. At all. But it is what it is, man. And I wish them much success, and I wish them much luck in going forward. I would just leave it there.
Something I don't think a lot of us pay attention to. When y'all say they didn't need Disney, when Buana says they didn't need Disney, I would push back and say this. Disney's name alone is a huge marketing chip. Not only that, Disney's multi-billion corporation can put big money. If they decide to put money behind something, they could put big money. We talking 200 million is nothing, for example, for them to put on the marketing side of the game. These young folks here, they're saying, yeah, we got the internet, but look how long it took Black Sands to do something, if it ever really did anything, right? I still don't think they have a cartoon yet, right? That marketing thing, man, that's the thing. And they're probably saying to themselves, with our name getting some exposure and blowing up a bit, then maybe we can do these other things that that Buana would be, talking about. I think we undervalue that marketing channel, that marketing system that these big companies have. That these guys, if they even did this whole film by themselves, which is possible, by the way, who would see it? How much would people pay for it? How do you market it, etc.? Go ahead.
I got an answer for that. Because I understand your position. I do, Koku. Don't mistake the fact. I do understand your initial position. You have a big company, big corporation. They've been in the business for many years, and that is something to be considered. However, when you sell your rights away, now I have the ability as the as the owner of these rights, I can pervert any images that I want. I could include LGBT. I can include things that I wish because these are my rights now. Your content is my rights now. I could do what I wish to that content now. You see old singers like what's the guy's Green what's his name now? I can't remember his name now. These old singers who have sold their rights a long time ago. Now you see their music playing in Kentucky Fried Chicken commercials. I'll agree. You see that their music being perverted and sold in a way that they didn't necessarily want their content to be sold. They don't even make a profit off of that now because they've sold their right 30 years ago. You know, and I understand the position that they're in. It's a sticky position, like you say, because the marketing power of these corporations have been around for a very long time. It's very difficult to say no to $200 million because you can't see a day when possibly you would make $1 billion. The Indians saw it though, because right now Bollywood is $1 billion industry in competition with Hollywood, and a lot of that content is controlled and owned by the Asians. The Jews in Hollywood don't own that content, and they still making the same greenbacks. I don't know. I understand your position because your position is a real position. It's a real position. When you talk about marketing, when you talk about initial upfront money, when you talk about getting the word out there. However, I think that me personally, I think that um, approaching this particular situation in a long-term way, as a long-term invest, sometimes you have to bet on yourself. Let me put it like that. Sometimes you have to bet on yourself, and you can't give all your content, all your life's work in the hands of somebody because they offer you a big bag. Because there is a possibility that exists. If you bet in yourself, you make more in the future. More in the future. I don't know. Maybe just it's a difference between me and you in business, but I understand your position completely.
Yeah, no, I understand exactly what you're saying too. And I think there's some people who probably say to themselves, I think that guy Nate Parker had that mentality. Listen, I'll sell this first film, the proceeds of which I'll open up my production company and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, again, too, we're in a system where these guys could ice your shit out, too. That's another thing. These guys can sabotage your shit. I brought up Nate Parker. They sabotaged Nate Parker's first film in America here. They sabotaged that. They sabotaged him with the old rape allegations and all that stuff. They spent about $17 million to get that movie. Fox did, right? He could have sold it to the black guy for about 20, but he went with Fox for some reason, right? And they still end up kind of sabotaging that first film he did. So it's a tough situation. Like Ms. Weeda is saying in the chat, we are obligated to support our family until content goes off. By this time, animators would have made their name, exposure, and can move on. I think that's the thing that most people kind of bet on. But let me stop rambling. Let me go to Oni. Oni would say.
Yeah. So I think well, there was this video title I saw, and it's like, you're not gonna be rich. And I think a lot of people probably need to hear that. A lot of people dream of becoming rich. When we talk about a Master P did become rich, sure. But it's not like he was the only black person at that time, you know, who wanted to get into the rap industry. You know, I think 50 Cent said it best. He said what was the number? I think he said 9 out of 10 black folk try to rhyme. You know what I mean? Like 9 out of 10 black men try to rhyme. And he's not capping. Like even I tried to rhyme. You know what I'm saying? like 90% of black folk in like America try something musically. You know? If you even like just pay attention, you know Koku tried something musically. I'm sure I don't know, but D Web is pretty interested in music, right? So it's like, yeah, you can't look at this one success story and say, well, you know, keep pushing because you gonna make it. Because the reality is this: most people don't. You know, this guy was breaking down the whole grifter market thing. He's like, look, realistically, the only people who really make it are the top performers. You know, the top 0.3%. Even if you look at OnlyFans, right? The only people really making a living off of OnlyFans is the top 0.3%, or what have you. My point being, it's a law demonstration, but it's like I don't agree. I don't personally want to support nothing Disney, obviously, right? But I don't know if I'm going to tell somebody who's an animator, right? Don't look at that big check Disney's giving you, right? Because you know, I could tell them that that's the easy thing to do, but the reality is this: they're not doing like they're doing art for a reason to make money. You know, it's another one of those quote unquote bum activities. No disrespect to artists. Well, obviously no disrespect, but what I'm saying when I say a bum activity, what I mean is like if you don't have any money, that's what you're gonna try to do, obviously, right? Because people have to make money, and that's the thing that we don't understand about this economic system is that we have to go and try to make money. Hold on a second.
But I would say
Sorry, I was just yeah, I was just no, my kid is just acting up. So anyway, he was just like, I'm just going to do whatever I want. All right. So what I was saying was that now obviously, like I said, I wouldn't because again, especially if it was Netflix, I wouldn't touch it at all because Netflix is just gay flex at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's really just softcore gay porn at this point. But and it's been that way. It's just weird. Like it's just weird. That said, as far as I could tell from this show, from the language in the prompt, I think they were just African authors, like African writers. Disney, for what it is considered, if you're being honest, one of the best animators performing today. Like by raw skill, like they make the freaking Avengers look like real people. You know, they make the Hulk look like a real person. You know, if you compare it to the old Hulk movies, you'll see the big difference, right? They're some of the best animators on the planet right now, right? These guys are looking to get a pretty penny. These guys are looking to get a pretty penny in their lives, and for us to tell them, no, hold out, you're gonna make it somehow in the middle of nowhere where nobody's really trying to sponsor you, right? It's very unlikely. Now, granted, I think that we should put ourselves in the position to sponsor people, but kind of like what Koku was saying, you know, we have the example of Black Sands. What happened with them? We have the example of Nate Parker. What happened with that guy? He was rich. We had the example of Bill Cosby and his old thing. What happened to that guy? He got to prison. You know, these white folk do not play. Disney does not play. And for the most part, every one of us has seen a Disney production. And so if I were an artist or a writer, I think, I mean, not me personally, I wouldn't. But if I were a writer in the middle of nowhere, right, I probably would aspire to tell my story under Disney's banner. Now, is that right? No. But we go back to that sentiment earlier. Who has Disney Plus? Who has Netflix? And who has Quelly TV? Okay, I had Quelly TV. The marketing is not there. The effort is not there, and the promotions are just not there. You know, you go on like Disney Plus is being promoted by Black folk all over the freaking planet, right? All over everywhere, and then Quelly TV, basically none of us are talking about it. Black Sands, basically none of us are talking about it. Nate Parker, if he has a studio, basically none of us are talking about it, right? The guy who made Meteor Man, I saw it as a kid. You know, my father might be a Caribbean transplant or whatever, but he made us watch Meteor Man. It was nice, right? But all that said, you know, we don't support. We're not supporting ourselves. We're not even promoting ourselves. And for us to sit back and tell these people do not engage with the biggest industry, do not engage with the biggest competitor. It's like, okay, what choice are you giving them? You know, sit by and wait for some mystery money, right? Sit by and try to be like Master P, who I don't even know how Master P got in, but be like Master P. But at the same time, I want to say this: us saying, "Hey, go to Disney," right? Because I'm not saying go to Disney, but us saying go to Disney, we can't critique Black folk for doing the dumb shit in hip hop. We can't critique Suki Hana for selling her fucking soul. We can't do that because we're basically telling these artists go do the same thing. But it really comes back to the fact that we as a people are not giving to our own. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with that. We're not supporting our own in the way we ought to. and also our own, so to speak, aren't, at least to me, aren't doing a whole bunch that is in line with like creating their own industries per se. And by the way, this tweet does mention that the African talent were animators. If you look at the screen, you'll see. Yeah, they weren't writers per se. I think there might be some writers, but this was highlighting the fact that there was 6 groups of animators from Africa. Yeah, so like, are these animators creating movie houses, you know, collaborating amongst each other and putting out dope content? That's one of the knocks about Quelly TV too, by the way. Right? Is the content dope like that? You know, so is that what's going on, or is it what Oni and I are saying, that, you know, these guys they're gonna go to the titan in the industry, you know, and they're gonna sell their, you know, they're gonna make their money. Buana, you want to say something?
Before Buana says something, let me just say something quick. About the whole animation thing. Yeah, you might be right. You're probably right about the animation thing. But what I want to say about animators is this: you need a lot of processing power. You know, a lot of computing power. You know who has a lot of computing power? Disney. You know, you in your little house with your little MacBook, you don't have the computing power or the talent, not the let's say the talent pool, but you don't have the resources that Disney has. Disney pretty much owns a lot of the industry on the planet. Like a lot of the entertainment industry on the planet. It's not a joke business. It's a business that can clown other people. Like D-Web just pointed out, they lost $2 billion last year, and they're still going around. None of us lost $2 billion fucking dollars and still going around. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Ain't none of us lose $2 billion and still just walking around like oh, okay, we're just gonna fire a few people. You know what I'm saying? This is not a joke. It's not like, you know, next door. You know, the people that we're talking about, these amazing talents, they don't have Disney money. That's all I'm saying.
I hear what the brother's saying, and it's very difficult to argue against your points, because what your points are is extremely legitimate. It's very difficult to argue against it. But I think that it all falls for me, to business style and what the individuals would do. And for me, I would bet on me. And I'm not judging these brothers them for doing what they did based on your arguments, because what you're saying is extremely legitimate. However, I would bet on me. And also, too, this goes back to our arguments earlier when we talk about Black people being risk averse. You know, when Elon Musk, well, I don't like to include these white boys in our conversation. So, but I would say that when these guys started their business, they didn't start with the help and assistance of all these other people. They provided a service that people were willing to buy, you know, in very large numbers. Now, I understand where the brothers in them fall say, well, why would I say no to a $200 billion buy? It's very difficult to argue against that. But for me, it falls to business style, and I would want, if my business was to fail, I want to be able to fall on my own sword. Now, is that stubborn, mule-headed, and ridiculous, and not logical? Maybe, but I would just rather fall on my own sword, you know, if I have to fall. But I'm gonna still try regardless, and I'm not risk averse. I would take the chance, but it just falls to business style, and we just tend to differ with this particular thing. So,
okay, then you beg on the street. Beg on the street and say you wrote a good book.
So, Buana, let me ask you about perhaps an alternative move, which, like I mentioned earlier, you work with this company. And Webb, I'm coming to your comments about the company, because that's a good point too, right? And so first, let me get this one off. Like, what about the idea of your first product? Right, you want to get your name out there. You want to get exposure, as well as you could get that monies from this titan in the industry, this juggernaut, right? Why not go take that money? Because this is why I have a problem. A lot of our folks will go take that money and then not even try to do something of their own self for their folks, for their people or what have you. But like only mentioned, Nate Parker, where is he? You haven't really heard about him, since that debacle with that film. So why not support that move alternatively? What say you
No,
to that?
I'm not. No, I listen. If that is the case, if I was offered a situation, I'm not beyond compromise. If I could use Disney, just like they're using me, by the way, if I could use Disney as a tool to get my name out there into the hemisphere and get the word out about who I am, great. That's all good. But it has to be something that's short term, because ultimately, at the end of the day, Disney is a company that started by one man, Walt Disney, and generations later, they became the giant that they are right now. So it's not beyond me to do the same kinds of things. I may take generations to get to that point, but that's how it was created. And let me say something about Nate Parker. Nate Parker is in Hollywood selling stories to Hollywood about the Black experience in America. Nate Parker needs to understand, if he does, and I was telling Berzuli this as well. Nate Parker has the whole continent of Africa where he could sell his stories. American man like him going to Africa, he'd be able to sell his stories all over. He could do a whole lot of things in other markets. He's not limited just to the American market. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? China would even imagine. Don't you know when there was a basketball player? His name was Marbury, Stephon Marbury. Stephon Marbury played in the NBA for a substantial amount of time, but when he moved to China, he almost became like a Michael Jordan in China. A Michael Jordan in China. You have hundreds of millions of people adore this man, and he doesn't have the same kind of love and respect in the country and where he comes from, because he decided to choose a different market to play in. So our limitations within the border of the United States, I understand we come from there, so we don't want to betray that. But we deal with a global world. You don't have to limit your markets and expectations or talent to just one place. That's all I'm saying. But like I say, I understand the perspective of Disney is a monolithic corporation that extends all over the world. So why wouldn't I want that kind of marketing and shout out? Why wouldn't I want? It's very difficult to argue against that. But like for me, I would just say it's just a matter of business style. That's all I would say. But I would if I was offered that opportunity to initially just get the word out initially, you know what I mean, just to get that jump start, maybe I would deal with Disney, but not for long term, because ultimately, in the end of the day, I want to have mine. Walt Disney, his last name gonna echo forever in history because of what he did, 50, 60 years ago. Why not my name? Why not Bwana Hagoziki? Why not having Hagoziki plus? You know what I mean? That should be considered as well, because he started as a man just like me. You know what I mean? I think that sometimes we don't like to start from the beginning, but when you look at the beginning of all these guys and how their names end up echoing through history, they started at one point and eventually they may not personally live the experience, but generations down the line, you see that name in broad pictures, and you say, and now we arguing and say you can't go up against these kinds of individuals. They're human beings just like us, and we could compete with them just like anyone else in the world. So this is where I fall with in my mind, not everyone, it's not for everyone, but in my brain. But I'll stop there.
No, I agree with that sentiment in certain areas and circumstances. I just think in this particular one, you're not going to be even a blip. There's all kind of independent Black filmmakers, and until they hit, I forget what channel it used to be. There used to be a cable channel. When I had cable, there's a cable channel that just have like a Black film weekend or something every year. It could be Stars or someone. I think it's Black Stars or something like that. Until you see those films there, you don't know who these people are. And honestly, 9 times out of 10, after you see that film on that channel, and hear that director's name, you don't hear about them people no more. You know, there's a couple of good examples back in the day when I used to keep up with that stuff. You watch some great indie films on Black Stars, I think it was, and you'll never hear about that producer again, except maybe making like a music video or something like that. It's just how it is. But I do think there's some lanes, some industries where you can bet on yourself and actually make a reasonable mark in that lane. Sister Vita, well, first Chem Warrior says the diaspora should connect with Nigeria and Nollywood. I always think about that too. I always think, man, if you're gonna make these films and kind of begging white folks to put it on Stars and all that kind of stuff, man, go take that thing down to Nigeria and go move there and, you know, try to make your inroads there and stuff like that, man. You know, I think that's a lane you could actually do something with. You know, earlier Ms. Vita said, as long as you don't compromise your morals, not shame on getting that bag now, then go on and do your own thing. And that brings me back to D. Webb. Webb earlier said, Disney, one of the biggest pedo advocates in the world. If the bag worth your soul, then so be it. They control the IMF, World Bank, Fed Reserve, etc. If your chief motivation is the fiat, we're doomed. Webb, I want you to talk about that a bit more, man.
Well, if you control what, first and foremost, a lot of this stuff is not backed by anything tangible. We know the fiat. I don't know if people know what fiat is, or, you know, what that entails, but basically every country, that's like you're given a credit score, countries are given a credit score, right? And a lot of this money that they're circulating is backed by nothing. They actually control the bank. That is the play, right? That is the play. When you control the bank, who cares, right? You can never outbank the bank. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can never outbank the bank. That's why, you know, I think we suffer from short-sightedness. Let's circle back to Nate Parker, right? We talk about how Nate Parker's basically, you know, banished from Hollywood, right? Nate Parker just had a film in 2019 that made $4 million in 2 weeks. We can say that's not nothing, right? It's one of the it was premiered at some festival and was one of the top grossing films for that company he was working for at the time. Now we can say because he's not on Brad Pitt level, right, that he's a failure. But how many of us wish we had $1 million, let alone produce a film that made $4 million in 2 weeks, right? So, you know, I think we suffer from this thing where if we're not acknowledged, if we're not winning white people awards, if we're not on this $1 billion level, that it's a failure, right? That it suffers from stuff. When in reality, right, many of us would faint if we got a 6-figure check right now. That is a great deal of money. That is great successful. I wish I had 1,000 followers on my podcast, right? That would be great success. That would be nothing for a Joe Rogan of the world, right? So I think we suffer from this short-sightedness where we see as people's not being this global or even acknowledged by white people as this global success, that it's a failure. And to me, that is where we go wrong in things. That is where a lot of times that we suffer from this short-sightedness that I spoke about earlier, upon which you don't bet on yourself. And if you just rely on the same institutions that's been around, what company that was created in 1570 is around now? Like, at a certain point, things change. Okay, at a certain point, things change. And if you don't have the vision and honestly the balls to go about and stake your claim in that, then you're just going to fall victim. And then we're going to continue this loop, right? We're going to continue this rat race. We're going to continue this. So that's why I be very careful about this whole bag. Get the bag, and then you can do your own thing. Nah, because you're going to sign a contract that says that whatever work that you made while getting that bag, right, is on to that studio, is on to this company, right? So when you try to strike it out on your own, guess what? They're gonna blackball you. They have all your information. If they can blackball you while you work for them, what makes you think they can't blackball you once you leave? The bag don't mean shit. They don't care about the bag, right? They control the currency. They control the industry. They control the media. So to me, that is the terrible idea to have, yo. If you're gonna go out, go big, go big balls, go balls to the wall, bro. Do out and do your own thing, yo. Because once you make the deal with the devil, now the devil knows your tendencies. They know everything that you do. They know how to control you. They know your weaknesses. They don't even let you sign that contract unless you agree to certain things with them. So that's all I got, bro. That's what I meant by that.
Appreciate that, Web. I can't fight a lot of what you're saying. The one thing I'll say about Nate Parker and that film you're talking about is he did use, I'm guessing it was Sundance or one of those film festivals, right? You see what I'm saying? So he still had, even to make that 4 million in 2 weeks or 2 million in 4 weeks, whatever it was, he still had to use that apparatus, their apparatus, to even kind of hit some kind of mark with that film. That's all I'm saying. But your point about the blackballing before and after, I agree with that too. So that also says, well, maybe I go and I make that dough. At least I could support my family. You know, they might blackball me after and I've never heard of again. Or you could don't make anything and put out a film and it's great and it's wonderful, but no one knows about it. And trust me when I tell you, there's thousands of those films every year that they're great, they're wonderful, they're black, and they're, black love is beautiful, all that kind of stuff. And you and I and everyone here, none of us know about this shit.
Bro, let me run real quick, bro. Go poll black people and see how many people know who Marcus Garvey is. Would you call Marcus Garvey, if say only 25% know who Marcus Garvey is, would you call Marcus Garvey a failure?
No, I'm not trying to call any of these people a failure per se. But I am looking at the practical side of, for your skill and ability and talent, are you able to feed yourself and your family? That's what I'm also looking at.
Yeah. I wanted to just add, because Wanda said earlier that, Walt Disney started off as one man. I think one of the things that we don't do is we don't look at the full story of how these individuals started off. There are some stories of people with I just had $2 in my pocket and I did something, right? And that's, that one guy, the investor guy. But beyond that, are we so sure Walt Disney never worked for anybody else? You know what I mean? Are we confident that he never?
He did,
Come again? Huh?
He did. He was an animator for someone else before.
That's what I'm saying. Like at the end of the day, when we giving out this advice of, hey man, why don't you do like Walt Disney? It's like, did Walt Disney really just wake up one day? Did he just really do everything without ever working for anybody else? And that's the big question. Because if we're telling black folk, do not work for anybody else, but be like Walt Disney, what's the full story of Walt Disney? Tell the full story.
Did Walt Disney work for a black person?
Come again?
Keep that part out. Did Walt Disney work for a black animator before he got rich?
Did Walt Disney work for a black? Probably not.
Exactly. So
that's the thing, though.
Go work.
No, but that's the thing, though. It's like the thing about, I think Brother Bakari points this out sometimes. The thing about this is that black folk don't have capital. So it's like, yeah, you're not gonna work for black, just like a lot of us, well, maybe some people do, but like a lot of black folk don't work for black folk, period. Even in America, right? Where in America, we have some of the richest black people on the planet. In fact, most of the black people on the planet are in America, and yet, like most of us, like 95% of us that are working, work for white folk. So yeah, Walt Disney's not going to work for black people, but and I think that people in Africa are very willing to work for black people. It's just a question of, are black people willing to employ other black people, or are black people in a position to employ other black people, right? And that's where it comes. That's where it comes back to, because yeah. So I think that's what it comes. I think that's what it comes to. So it's like, no, of course Walt Disney didn't. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know. Because there's this what's it called, Sears and Roebuck. I heard the story about Sears and Roebuck, I think Robux was like a black watchmaker or something like that. So I mean, it's possible that you could work for a black person and whatever, but I doubt it. All the same, it really comes back to where is the money? Like who's paying who? And that's where it comes. Yeah, that's what it is. Sorry.
No, sorry for cutting in on you. I don't want to cut your wisdom.
I was ranting.
Your volume is kind of low, Warner.
Yeah, he's tether bobbling. If the brothers and sisters are hearing that I'm saying not to work for no one, that's not what I'm saying. There is a good documentary out right now by the story of Stan Lee. Everybody knows who Stan Lee is. He worked for a company for his young in his young life. But my philosophy is, if you are in an industry that you have skill and training in, I would suggest to understand that industry inside and out, how it works, how they make their money, etc., etc., etc. What moves the industry. After you have learned the things that you know and understand how that industry works, then you are more in the driver's seat for doing the things that you need to do. If you have the natural talent to do the things that you need to do to get your message out there, because it just becomes a matter of, okay, I understand the things that I need to do. I have the talent I need to do. Why can't I do the same kinds of things? I'm not saying just start off not knowing nothing about the industry that you're in and then trying to pitch yourself for that. There are some people who have done that, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying understand that you're in. It's called show business for a reason. You understand the show, the entertainment aspect of it, but also you have to understand the business aspect of it. And then after that, you could prove yourself into the marketplace in doing the things that you need to do to compete with the rest of the big boys. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but by the way, I don't think black people should work for Disney. You know what I'm saying? I was just more so saying, obviously even Disney work for other people, but I don't think black people should work for Disney. I mean, sure, they ignored some of my emails, asking for I'm joking. but like even so, I mean, yeah, like no, I don't think black people should work for Disney either. I don't think so.
All right, here's where I would usually go to the station ID break, but you guys know the deal. For time's sake, I won't, but try to visit the site. I gotta do a bunch of updates over there soon, but check it out. Check out all the other shows on KWAZ Radio, including the Pro Black Perspective, the Hashali Podcast, Brother Bakari, Cassidra Cheek, Tanzan African Mind, and the 4Kast Radio. Check those other channels out as well. Let's go to Shooter Breeze topic number 4. Shooter Breeze topic number 4 is Micah Johnson's last words. Came with a link. It's taking us back to Twitter. Let's listen to it once or twice, and then we'll discuss it.
The media is going to tell their own story. I don't care how people know what I've done. But we want to know. Can we find out? You got to see the first time, y'all would be praised as a hero. And now that y'all were real terrorists, now what? I mentioned the same. But is it going to be looked at that way, X? I don't care how people know. But I'm saying you're doing this for black people, right? Yeah. How is black people going to look at it? There are many of us who feel the way I do. I understand that. I understand that.
Well played, StreamYard. Well played.
But maybe if you tell your story on some type of news channel, the people who don't feel you will feel you. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Kwame, there's been too many people talking. The talking is over. It's time for revolution, brother.
Yeah, well played, StreamYard, with the lagging of the video. I tell you, man, if you don't understand the constant monitoring that I feel happens with black folks, man, you better do. Ken Warrior, to the last prompt, he said, let's create our own version of Disney. And I think that's an important point, even in this prompt, in the sense that it's time to stop talking about it. We've been talking about shit like this. Let's create our own versions of Disney for decades now, right? But what's happening? And that was one of the points I was making with those animators in Africa, from the 6 African nations, I guess it was. Like, are they sitting around with each other, the talent, as well as the investors, as well as the marketers, and saying we're going to create this conglomerate to create our own, to come up with the capital, to create these films, to put out these films ourselves? I don't know if that's happening like that. But you guys might have more information than me. Anyway, Micah Johnson's last words. D-Web, I know you're familiar with the story. What are your thoughts on Micah Johnson's last words?
Well, I mean, it's par for the course. And you know what? I'm always apprehensive when stuff like this gets released. Like this, how long the story was, but 5-6 years. It's been quite a while, and it's kind of crazy that you're just now releasing this type of audio. So I always look for what's the play in that. Why? Who's released it? Why are they releasing it? Things of that nature, right? But I mean, it's par for the course from what I've heard from the brother. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, it's kind of crazy that we aren't talking more about him and the other brother out of California, Dorner, right? Christopher Dorner, where these people were actually executed without due process, right? I think that's a bigger story. That should have been the biggest story from the beginning. There have been Americans drone striked overseas without trial, right? And to me, this is against this so-called Constitution that these people uphold. This man was in the army. This man supposedly fought for the Constitution, and he was denied his due process rights, right? They're walking other people out. They do 20-hour, 30-hour, 40-hour negotiations with other people, but they blew this man up within a day. Within 24 hours, he was blown up, right? And he was cornered. It wasn't like he could get out and kill multiple people. You have him cornered at that point. So why was it necessary to blow him up with a robot bomb? They say Christopher Dorner didn't die of a drone, but there's plenty of people who have recorded that it's been a drone strike. They even shot it at a vehicle where he wasn't even in, shot some civilians thinking it was him because they were so terrified of that man that was military trained. That's why I say you got to be very careful as a black vet out here when you go revolutionary, because they know what they trained you in, and they know what kind of threat you are, and they will get you up out of here, right? So to me, the most revolutionary people are the black vets who actually speak against the system. You know what I'm saying? Because they will not play. They know they know everything they taught you, and they know what you're capable of, right? They will get you up out the paint. So I think that's, to me, is the biggest story in his last words is, why wasn't this brother allowed due process? Why didn't you bring in the ace hostage negotiator in this case? You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. So that's what I got, man.
Yeah, thank you for that, D-Web. Yeah, Carl Hezekiah in the chat had a similar question to me. He said, is that a black cop trying to negotiate with him? It sounded like a black guy to me trying to negotiate with him. I had those similar thoughts. Carl Hezekiah also said the brother was engaging in maximum emergency compensatory violence. Maximum emergency compensatory violence. I'm going to get the trigger happy thoughts in a second. Let me go to Buana next. Buana, what are your thoughts on Micah Johnson's last words?
You know, Koku, I think that I'm not at liberty, to discuss. See, my brothers in America are under constant stress and pressure. So when you always pinning an animal, if you pin an animal into a corner, naturally he's gonna. And I'm not comparing my brothers. Well, all of us are part of the animal kingdom. But when you're under constant stress and pressure, the animal is gonna eventually lash out. Now, how he lashes out is gonna express itself in different ways. I've not walked in this man's shoes to understand why he'd want to take it here, but in listening to my brothers like Brother Bakari and other brothers and sisters who have to live under this thing of constant pressure, you know, I understand why they would have to resort to the ways that they would do it, you know. From my philosophy, like when he say get the hell out of here, but when you can't get out, when you can't leave, what do you do in that scenario? What do you do? So I don't know. I'm in two minds about it. I know that my man his heart was in the right place in taking taking the talk that he did, but I don't know. We could have used his energy in maybe in other places, and maybe do something different somewhere else where he didn't have to lose his life. But I have not walked in this man's shoes. This man was a military vet, so he gonna respond like a military vet. But I have not walked in this man's shoes, man. So I can't really speak on this as freely like my other brothers who actually live in America would. So I would just leave it to them to make comments on this particular one.
Yeah, Juana, do me a favor and increase your volume too. Your volume is pretty low. You have to squint to hear it, so to speak. Let's welcome in our brother, Real Black Gentleman. RBG, how are you this week?
Man, I'm feeling right. I'm feeling right.
Good. How do you feel about Micah Johnson's last words?
I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, I saw the video where what was it, Philando Castile had gotten shot, you know what I'm saying, with his baby, you know what I'm saying, in the back seat, and his woman with him. I mean, I'm not gonna say that he saw that, but I'll tell you what. When you know that that things are not right, that there's injustice, and injustice is an imbalance, there are those who will attempt to rebalance things. And I can't speak for him. My perception is that he attempted to rebalance the situation, man. And I mean, he you know what I'm saying, he took action. You know what I'm saying? He took action. Of all places, I don't know if he even realized it. The Black Lives Matter march that happened to be going on at there. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't his focus. But like, I mean, he tried to bring balance to the situation. And I mean, I see that. And I recognize it. That's, you know what I'm saying? I recognize what he tried to do, man. I recognize it. I mean, I can't speak for him. I'm not him. Yeah, he spoke for himself. You know what I'm saying? We heard what he said. I mean, it's life. You know what I'm saying? It's vigor. You know what I'm saying? It's vitality, man. I'm gonna let someone else speak.
Thank you for that, Real Black Gentleman. Let's go to Oni. Oni, Micah Johnson's last words. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that he had to die. But you see how the last person he speaks to, while they're getting a robot, while they're sending in a robot to detonate right next to him, okay, he's a black man. Like this is like, it comes back to not just who has the capital, really, but it really comes back to, not just who has the power, but it just comes back to this white boy can use you. Okay? This white boy has black people in his pocket. Black man standing up for his people. And again, if you notice what happens afterward, we don't all just get into revolution. No, he gives up his life. He's a damn martyr. Not damn, but he's a martyr, right? He gives up his life, and what comes of it? His last moments, this white boy was like, and this black man was like, hey man, let us capture you. Let us capture you. While his buddies are like, yo, you wanna try blow up a human being with a robot? We never did this before, but we could do it here. They said this is the first man, probably in America, to be killed by a robot. In America, and his own country did it to him. Now, I'm not saying he wasn't shooting nobody. I'm saying, I'm saying he was whatever. But the fact that a black man, what I'm saying, because like I'll tell y'all this, like I said, if I'm working for this cracker, every once in a while the cracker want me to do an African American in. You know what I'm saying? Like every once in a while, and I'm not just because they're African American, obviously, but I'm just saying that because I know the FBA folk out there, right? But what I mean is that every once in a while, these white folk want me, because I'm in a higher position, right? So they want me to talk about either the black people on my position or the black people on the positions lower than me, right? And be like, hey, this person, like for instance, one of them, it's remote, right? So one of them had to restart their computer and it took forever. So then they were like, hey, let's take a note how long this person's been gone so that we could take off their pay. And I'm like, hey, we can't take pay off them. You know what I'm saying? Because they're repairing they're fixing their computer and it's a remote job, right? But like they want me, to be like, yeah, man, that's a good for nothing. Or like they had, some white person who was underperforming. I got that motherfucker kicked out. You see what I'm saying? But they got some black sister who's underperforming. I'm like, hey, she might be having a rough day. You know what I'm saying? But like, what I'm saying is that I don't go with the okie doke. But you have these black people who do. And there's a lot of them. Because even like we said, last prompt, Master P. Master P was giving out some degenerate, loser-ass music. Sure, he made the music himself, which is good. But he was doing the exact thing what the other people was doing. You know what I'm saying? If not worse. Well, not if not worse, but he was doing the same thing that they were doing. Right? I don't remember his songs, honestly. I just remember his son. But still, my point is that, we have people in our circles, not even that's in our circle, but we have people that look like long story, all kinfolk ain't all skinfolk ain't kinfolk. And that's what it comes to with this situation. You hear the man telling them, like Micah's like, yo, brother, come on, you the last person I'm talking to. Just get out the fucking way. What are they trying to do to me? Are they trying to, what's their next attack? And the brother's like, come on, man, we're going to capture you. Don't worry. We're going to bring you in. We're going to have an interview with you. While his buddies, while he's just being there to distract them, while they send a robot after this man. A damn robot out of the freaking Terminator film. No, it wasn't that, obviously. It was just a little drone that exploded next to him. But it's like that, they delivered a landmine pretty much, right? I think that's I don't know the story, but I think that's what it was, right? That said, yeah, this brother was sitting there talking to him. And I mean, obviously somebody might be like, well, why are you going so hard on the brothers if his white man did it? Yeah. It's not like, again, I understand this white boy. I'm finna write a book where I'm just going to tell you guys, hey, look, these white people supposed to be at you. If you know the freaking history of the world, they supposed to be at you. But you as a black person, you have to know who's on your side. Micah was Micah stood up. Okay? And realistically, if you were really about it, man, you should have been like, hey, Micah, look. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's it.
Only real quick, because I do want to end at 11, and we got a couple more prompts. what is your thing against Neely Fuller's maximum emergency compensatory violence?
No, it's just Neely Fuller. Neely Fuller is a freaking clown. Like Neely Fuller is just a freaking clown. Like he's just a clown. Like even this maximum, he's just such a clown. Like there's some people who are just cornballs and clowns, and Neely Fuller is just one of them. You know, like I'm pretty sure he's not even black. I'm just gonna say that. All right, that's it.
All right. Does anyone have any last thoughts on this prompt? All right, then. Let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 5 tonight. Shoot the Breeze topic number 5 is, and by the way, shout out to KWZ7 who did say, long live the spirit of Micah the Lion Johnson. So shout out to KWZ7 for being here. Kem Warrior said the approach was just wrong. So I'm curious, Kem Warrior, you could expand on that a little bit further, I guess. KW7 says Neely Fuller Jr. is not serious or African-centered. I could agree with that, too. Should be topic number 5. How do we repatriate 50 million in the diaspora to Africa? This came with a link. Takes us to Twitter again. So the tweet says, the tweet is from I'm the coworker nobody loves. It says, these some lost souls, so many have failed. Let's see what.
I'm gonna walk down when I can't now. I'm gonna walk down when I can't take. I'm gonna walk down. Walk down.
Man, free Z5, man, free Z9, man, free Z7, man.
Free holiday, man.
Free holiday, man. Free fun, free Duke, man.
That's what I'm saying.
You feel me?
What are you saying? Act right now. Act right. Act like folk now.
Act like folk.
Act like folk now. Act like folk now.
All right, once again, StreamYard is tripping.
Then we got one at the top. You see him on the top? Tell him. Go into move. And one on the other end. Go into move, please. Go into move. Please go into move.
Let's watch it one more time. It's short. Make sure we get it. Hopefully it plays straight through. It's just a 1-minute clip.
I'm gonna walk down when I can't now. I'm gonna walk down when I can't take. I'm gonna walk down. Walk down.
Man, free Z5, man, free Z9, man, free Z7, man.
Free holiday, man.
Man, free holiday, man, free fun, free Duke, man.
That's what I'm saying.
You feel me?
What are you saying? Act right now. Act right. Act like folk now.
Act like folk.
Act like folk now. Act like folk now. Then we got one at the top. You see him on the top? Tell him. Go into move. And one on the other end. Go into move, please. Go into move. Please go into move.
Oh boy. How do we repatriate? Should be topic number 5. How do we repatriate 50 million in the diaspora to Africa? Let me get some more comments from you guys out there in the chat. Carl Hezekiah is saying, I don't understand how this video relates to the prompt. We'll get to that in one quick second. Real Black Gentleman, what did you see?
I saw some young people controlling their territory. Attempting to. I mean, how? Yeah, like Carl said, you know, it's kind of like a disjointed situation. It's like, well, they're just out there. Something's wrong with that. Bring them back to Africa is like what I'm surmising. It's like, I mean, if you really want to do it, I mean, how do I say it? It's like, once again, it's like, I mean, we got here in smaller numbers, and you know what I'm saying, there's been multiplication. So I mean, it's not like, I mean, I guess like if you can somehow bring back, you know, 1 million black people in the same way as we got them back, you know, you could scale that up times 50. Look, I don't know how else to say it, you know what I'm saying? Black people need to like somehow get some boats and like seriously like be about some like, you know, sailing, even if it's under the auspices of just, you know what I'm saying, tourism, you know what I'm saying, just moving black people across the ocean, you know what I'm saying, by the thousands, you know what I'm saying? That's how you would do it. I mean, you can do it with planes, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, planes is hard, you know what I'm saying? Boats is easy. I mean, relatively, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to, if something happens in the, you know what I'm saying, on the ocean, even though I'm saying there's 6 miles to the bottom, I mean, you don't want to be, you know, 6 miles above and then something bad happens, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where it's like, you can get some lifeboats. I mean, that's how you do it. But I mean, part of it is just like Africa, you know what I'm saying, is always a part of us. So it's not like, you know what I'm saying, all you got to do is like actually like listen to people in Africa with this media and all that, you know what I'm saying, use this energy and try to tap into it and like figure out, you know what I'm saying, what's going on. I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, if they're trying to say that these people are not African, I mean, I can kind of question that. I mean, I suppose maybe they should be a bit more, maybe, I suppose, adult, I would say maybe a bit of adult structure with it, because it seems like, I mean, where are the adults? It seems like there are a whole bunch of young people, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily a bad thing to have young people out in the field. I mean, would you rather than be up in the house or, you know what I'm saying, out here in the field, you know what I'm saying, like trying to be, you know what I'm saying, active? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and just like shit on these young people, man. I'm not going to do it. Look at them. It's like, look, you want them to be, to have a stance about them, you know what I'm saying, in case, you know what I'm saying, the old phase, you know what I'm saying, ride through in that goofy. I mean, because it's that season. And so, like, I mean, you know, you're not going to get 50 million black people, you know what I'm saying? Whoever had that question is like, look, I mean, it's like, look, I mean, we can do it. I mean, it's not impossible. I mean, I do think that, you know, you should get some boats, you know what I'm saying? Scrap up some nice, you know what I'm saying? And boats are not cheap, you know what I'm saying? You don't want a cheap boat. If you can build it fresh, naturally, that's the best option. You know what I'm saying? Like, get some good sonar, you get some good, like, you know what I'm saying, X-ray technology, make sure the boat don't have no cracks, and you know what I'm saying, get a good engine on it, you know what I'm saying, get it floating forward, you know what I'm saying, out of hurricane season. Let's do it. Let's keep it pushing. I'm gonna pass the mic.
Appreciate that, real black gentleman. Let me mix it up this go around. Let me mix up the order. Oni, what say you to this?
Yeah, I don't know. Why would you want 50 million black people, 5 million to return? Anyway, yeah, like this is it's an interesting video. How do we repatriate 50 million in diaspora to Africa? I think this really comes back to, you know, whenever we talk about repatriation, somebody, or sometimes we always hear somebody say, you know, how are you going to do it? What's the logistics of, you know, getting everybody out? And then it comes back to that Garvey quote, which is, you don't want everybody out, you know, but then it also like shows us, somebody's echoing, by the way, but it also shows us that like the condition that a lot of us, a lot of our people are living in, you know, these are nice houses. But you know, better house than mine, obviously, right? I'm in New York City, but like you have, you know, kids just sitting around waiting to like protecting something, you know, like real black gentleman was saying, you know, they protecting their territory, quote unquote, but like protecting it from what, you know. And that's what it really comes by. It's not like if we were talking like say if they were standing outside the not Disney building, but like the black equivalent of a Disney building, we'd be like, okay, that's just the, you know, the fruit of whatever, right? But like, what are they? Are they defending drug trafficking? You know, Are they just like killing people for fun? I don't know. And then it also kind of shows us, when we talk about, the prison industrial complex, and I think it was mentioned earlier, if you killed somebody, I don't really care who you are, right? Some of these people are killing each other. Like a lot of these people are killing each other. Like if that boy, like toward the end of the video, there's another boy who comes in and he's just standing at a distance and he's showing off his firearm. If he came a little closer, they might have killed him. And then we would, talk about, oh man, too much gun violence in the city. And it's like, yeah, but why? You know what I'm saying? Like, and these are whole human lives wasting away. Like living it, like living this kind of, like, this is exciting life, where you see a bunch of people out, singing and dancing, I guess, which is fun. And then, they just end up shooting somebody who drives down the street, or they end up shooting somebody who felt like they need to show off their new firearm, and then that's it. That's their life extinguished. And so, again, we have to address the problem of underemployment, and it comes back to that. A long time ago, Koku did a presentation on, I can't remember what it was called, but he reading some paper about, Africa's youth crisis and how eventually Africa is going to have this, large youth population that's going to be underemployed, and it might turn to violence. Now, so far, I don't see the violence too much in Africa, but in America, we do see that violence. So the person who made the analysis, probably American, right? And they were saying, hey, look, a large underemployment problem might cause a large violence problem. We have it already. So the question of how do you get 50 million black folk? I don't think you want to, because unless there's some sort of need in Africa, for this, right? I'm not saying there isn't, but unless there is some sort of need in Africa, and then it becomes like the question of what's going on in Ukraine about just a bunch of young people. Now these are white people, so nobody cares, but just a bunch of young people losing their lives over some meaningless quarrel. It could go Russia, right? That's it.
Ken Warrior says you got to start with education when it comes to this type of situation. Let's hear from Webb on it. Webb, what's the?
Yeah, I get a little confused with the whole repatriate. To me, as studying Pan-Africanism as a whole, to me it never was about repatriation, right? The prefix pan literally means all or everything, all around, right? So I don't really, to me, these like bait questions, like, do you want to repatriate these, goons on the corner? Like, of course not. Why would you want everybody to go back to Africa? To me, that is a fallacy anyway. To me, I think the biggest thing you say is like, yo, you think all black people can go back to Africa and then white people gonna leave you alone? Like, where do you get this attitude of thinking that everybody's gonna go back to Africa, all black folk gonna go back to Africa, and we're just gonna live safe, free lives away from white people? It's gonna be great. We're gonna sing songs and campfires and rainbows. Like, that's not the way the world works. Even now, you know what I'm saying? You have so many bases. You have Russian troops, you have American troops, you have Chinese troops in Africa right now fighting over territory, right? They're conducting military strikes in Africa right now, right? Half the African nation only have Air Force. It's literally U.S. troops dropping bombs. But anyway, that's beyond the point. I believe, this area, I think I saw this video earlier and somebody was like, it's Columbus, Georgia. I've actually been to Columbus, Georgia, which is right on the border between Georgia and Alabama. It's like right there, literally on the border. First time I ever seen black people in trailers. Like, I always thought the trailer park myth was exclusive to white folk, and it's the first time I ever seen black folks in trailers. This is a very poor area you're talking about. These people probably don't even have nothing to do. There's no economy really there. I think the biggest thing there is probably Troy College. There's literally nothing there, right? So to me, you have a bunch of youth. I want to say black people have the highest youth unemployment rate of anybody. Probably don't have a job. Go back to Oni's point. Probably don't have an economy. 15% of this area is below the poverty line, right? The average in America, to put that in perspective, is like 11%. You know, so this is higher than the average here. And so these people have nothing to do, you know, and you notice when you watch this video, there's no elders out there. There's probably nobody over the age of 25 out there. Where are these people's uncles? Where are their fathers? Where are the elders in the area? You don't see any of that, right? Probably scared of these people themselves, right? So this to me is a societal failure. Whereas you know your people out there on some nonsense, and they're not terrorizing. This is not a major area where white folks is driving through and they protecting their area from the white folks in the area. The city is half black, literally 50% black. They're probably terrorizing other black people. You feel me? So to me, that's nonsense to me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who tried to make that point earlier, but that's nonsense, bro. These are just dudes who ain't got nothing better to do, influenced by videos, influenced by no male structure in their life. You know, think this shit is cool, what they doing. And ain't got no OGs out there to even put them in check because they scared of going whatever. You know what I'm saying? So this is just a highlight of the failure. But I failed to me that the whole that how do we repatriate that's clickbaity type of bullshit to me, because you ain't trying to, you need to like Umar said, some people need to be put to sleep, man. Like you just can't save everybody, yo. Some of these people is gone, bro. Some of these people gone, yo. So that's all I got, man.
Yeah, I feel you on that, Web. I you know, one of the things I've talked about a lot in the past on my platform is this notion that people perpetuate that, oh, these kids are so poor, or it's the poverty that makes them do it. It's you know, it's there's some reason. And when you really get down to it and you talk to some of these kids in these little scenes, they do it because it's fun, man. They do it because their friends are out there. It has nothing to do with a plate of food or lacking a plate of food. I'll tell you, you see this in New York City a bunch. These guys who are out here, these in groups like, you know, similar to this on the screen, these guys aren't struggling for food. These guys are getting the gals they want. They getting the food they want. They doing this stuff because it's just fun. And as I would put it, as Webb would put it, it's just low energy, low vibrational type shit. It's easy to do. And so folks do it. You getting fed, you getting women, right? There's no consequences unless the law, you know, the authorities get involved. And even then, these guys don't mind going to jail. In fact, I have two nephews that went to prison out here. And one of the things they told me upon coming by, they were like, to be honest, it was fun. We were hanging out with our homies in there. So, you know, we really have to tackle what is it really that's creating this phenomenon. A love of people, a love of friends, a love of like what is the real nitty-gritty thing? Because it's not this economic thing that a lot of people like to point out. Sure, there's poverty here. Webb just pointed out it's higher than the average, but look at the fit that a lot of these guys have on. You know, like these guys are eating. They're not malnourished. These guys are eating. They're surviving. What is it really at the heart of it that causes this stuff? But I digress. Let me go to the Buana combat. Let me go to Buana.
Yeah, so I am reminded about, I don't know why I focus on Hitler for some reason, but in Germany, Hitler created a term, but this guy, Goebbels, created this term called useless eaters. Useless eaters. And they coined that term against the Jews as a prelude to extermination. To say these people have no use in society, therefore we should get rid of them. Now, I ain't gonna be hard on. I understand the sentiment of the brothers. I understand the sentiment, because when you see this, you see these guys with no purpose, and you say, well, why are these guys even breathing? They're useless. You know what I mean? But I love my brothers. I love my brothers, even though they're ignorant, even though they're misinformed. I love my brothers. And I think in my mind, you could take some of these men and you could turn them into plumbers, you could turn them into electricians, you could turn them into carpenters. That's a possibility. I understand the society where they are right now may be impoverished, but I don't know, man. I think that they need to take. I think that they need to take a chance on themselves, man. You know what I mean? Go learn a small trade and leave that area. Leave that area. It's not providing you anything constructive, and the only place you're gonna end up is in somebody's morgue. You know what I mean? So you need to equip yourself with something that you could use to trade for something that'll be beneficial to yourself in the future. You know, and I understand the young brothers are purposeless. I can't say that this picture is limited to Atlanta, Georgia, because I just see it when I go in to get my cigar. A bunch of young men on the corner with purposeless will have nothing to do, and my heart breaks. I feel like a failure, me personally, because I feel like, man, what I wish that I could pull one of these dudes aside and say, man, I get this opportunity for you. Would you like to take it? You know, would you like to take it? You know, I could put some money in your pocket and make you look at life a little bit different. You know what I mean? And I'm working on that, by the way. I'm working on that. But I am not as nihilistic and hopeless for these young men. I wish the best for their lives. Right now, they are at a point in their lives where they feel hopeless and they find camaraderie amongst other hopeless people. But I believe that they could pull up their socks and they could change their lives. You know what I mean? They're in an America is the so-called wealthiest country in the world, with all kind of assistance or where you could change your life. These guys standing on the corner with military assault weapons. And you know what's crazy about this? If the police was to drive their car through there, everybody's scared. But if I was to simply walk through that area, they pulling guns on me, and having me doing all kind of ridiculous things for their entertainment. This is unfortunate. But
I was going to ask you after you were done, are you walking through that corner?
Absolutely not, because I know, like I say, you're dealing with very ignorant human beings, extremely ignorant human beings. So for that and self-hating human beings. So for that entertainment, they can do certain things just to make me look ridiculous for that entertainment. But I believe though, because I don't think that these guys are innately evil. I believe that they've been socialized in a way that to look at life in a certain way. But I believe that the possibility exists for them to look at life differently. If they was to be awarded another kind of opportunity, they need to give themselves a chance. I think that they need to give themselves a chance. And you living in the wealthiest place and the wealthiest economy in the world where you could do that. There are places where you can't afford yourself the opportunity to change your life and change your life purpose. But where you living right now in Atlanta, Georgia, you could change your reality just by learning a simple trade and offering it to people who are willing to pay. You wouldn't have to stand on the corner with us. They probably don't even have no bullets. Bullets are expensive, by the way. People don't know that. Bullets are expensive. So I don't know, man. I wish them well, you know, for the future. You know, I like I say, I ain't as nihilistic as some of the brothers. I understand their positions though, but I wish them well. I'll leave it at that.
Anybody else want to add any last thoughts?
Yeah, I got something real quick in response to what Bonner said. I'm from the west side of Chicago, as many have pointed out. I have a whole mantle in my house with young brothers. I done had to bury, had to do collections for them, right? The youngest being 17, you feel me? Like my little brother. This was almost like my little brother, my best friend buried, right? I've been on corners with mass murderers, yo. These people not hesitate to kill you, bro. Okay. We need to start being realistic. We can be idealistic all we want. Okay, but once you hit a certain age and you've killed a certain amount of people, what was the rap name? I know people who knew King Von from Chicago, popular rap. This dude had at least 7 supposedly, allegedly bodies before he was taken out, you know. And when you get to a certain point, when you not saying everybody is hopeless, right? I would never say that, right? But when you get to a certain point, I'm not playing no games with these people, bro, because they will kill you. Okay. I've been on corners with serial killers, and these people will not hesitate to take you out, bro. So we need this whole like idealistic, we can save everybody is worth a chance. These people will kill you and everybody you love, bro. For the clout, not even for no money. Like at least back in the 80s, 90s, when people was killing for drug money, you know what I'm saying? Killing for corners. They killing for clout. There was no reason. You talk about YNW Melly. It was zero reason he killed his homeboy. Those was his friends. Those was his best friends. And he shot him. They don't even have a motive for it. That's why it's so hard to prosecute the case, because they like, why did he even kill him? He just felt like killing him. You know what I'm saying? So to me,
harsh reality said he's standing in the corner with mass murderers. That's crazy.
Word is born. I'm not even like, what tell you about it? What tell you about it? I've been at Burger King with dudes who was on the most wanted list in Indiana and told me stories about it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not of this. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe if you come from a place where you're not used to that and you can't understand that, right? That's beyond your scope to hear what these people say to you and the stories that they'll share with you. You feel me? But once you hear that, man, some of these people are beyond saving at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like,
maybe it is beyond me, brother. I just don't understand it like you do. Like you say, you from the south side of Chicago, man. I never started. Maybe I might have. I never started in the corner with mass murderers. Can't claim that. You know what I mean? So maybe you understand it in a way that I don't.
Let me put that on there, bro.
allegedly. But I never walk in them kind of shoes. So maybe I don't understand it the way that you do. So maybe my vision is a little bit. It's different. It's just different.
Yeah, I feel you. And like I said, I'm not trying to come at you. Show you hard. I just have a difference of opinion on that issue. But man, I'm not of the attitude of throw everybody away either. Right. I do believe that, but you gotta want to change. You know what I mean? I don't believe a lot of these people want to change. I think Koku hit on it earlier. They think it's fun. This is their lifestyle. You get girls, you get women. You don't have to go to a 9 to 5, right? Once you go to prison a couple times, they used to it. You feel me? That's their lifestyle. So that's what I got, bro. That's all I got. I'm gonna get up out of here for the sake of time. That's all I got, bro.
I appreciate that, Webb. Yeah, we have 8 minutes left. I don't think we have time to do the last topic justice. So if anyone wants to expand on any thoughts here, I saw Provide Triggers in the chat was talking about Africa is not a utopia. She mentioned how there are people who are no good in Africa, who are there already. And I think we don't talk about that. Yeah.
Coco.
Yeah, go ahead.
Coco. That last video is about the prison. That's powerful, brother. That's powerful, man. Anyways, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. If you guys are for it, we could do the last topic. But now's the time to speak up. If you're for it, we could do the last topic.
I'm for it. It's about the prison guy. I'm for it.
Yeah, go for it, man. Go for it.
All right, then. So without further ado, shout out to MG2. Shout out MG2, Person Kid 21. Shout out to Black Beauty who joined us. Shout out to all y'all who are here. And Black Beauty said, leave them behind. Yeah. You can't take everyone. That's a fact. Let's do Shoot the Breeze topic number 6. The final topic tonight. I was told to do 8 minutes of this video. So Shoot the Breeze topic number 6 is 21st century slavery in America. 21st century slavery in America. Let me drop the link. We're going to YouTube. We're going to play 8 minutes.
Why you say it's slave? Because some people think that, hey, once you're there, you can get a bunk bed, you get a book, and you get to just sit there and boring silence for the rest of your days.
You asked me why I said slavery?
Let's go.
Have you ever seen the Pig Cotton?
Nah.
Where have you seen to pick cotton at?
Never in my life.
A slave, though.
Oh, slave.
I was sent to pick cotton. That's why I said.
Oh, so wait. So
I was sent to say. All right. I ain't never seen nothing but a slave pick cotton.
Wait. So you have actually picked cotton off the cotton plant?
I have picked cotton off the cotton plant. Texas Department of Criminal Justice. You pick cotton off the cotton plant.
Real life.
It ain't real life. Just ain't real life. Real life street stars. You know what time it is.
We're gonna touch on Ferguson. This was the first spot you went to. Ferguson.
No, first spot I went to, Blue Hand spoken his story was burning. Clemens unit in Brazilia. I did not know slavery exists until I went to prison. See, I can speak about slavery, right? Because I've been a slave. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery unless you've been convicted of a crime. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I catch you.
I'm inventory at the age of 17, a slave for the state of Texas to serve 8 years of servitude in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice.
Now, why you say a slave? Because some people think that, hey, once you're there, you just get a bunk bed, you get a book, and you get to just sit there in boring silence for the rest of your days.
You asked me why I said slavery?
Let's go.
Have you ever seen pick cotton?
Nah.
Where have you seen pick cotton at?
Never in my life.
A slave, though.
Oh, slave.
I was sent to pick cotton. That's why I said.
Oh, so you? So wait. So
I was sent to say. I was.
Wait. All right.
I ain't never seen nothing but a slave pick cotton.
Wait. So you have actually picked cotton off the cotton plant?
I have picked cotton off the cotton plant. Texas Department of Criminal Justice. You pick cotton off the cotton plant.
I remember in movies you would watch. They would whoop a slave for not getting, let's say, 50 pounds of this soft ass cotton.
Right.
So, like, just walk me through a cotton picking day.
No, I give you this day. So I'm big badass Crip Night, 17 years old. You put anybody in front of me, I got a high percentage of running them over, right? Amongst my peers, I'm that nigga, right? Okay, I hit Brazilia, Clemens unit, right? Burning Hell, AKA Burning Hell. That's the name of the unit.
Shit.
The name of the unit is Burning Hell. So we get there, right? First day they want to roll you out to the field. Well, the day after you arrive, I go through fighting and all that. The next day, we go to field work call. They call them hoe squads, HO, because you got to cut grass with an Aggie. This is what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You cut grass in line with an Aggie, right? Whole fields of grass are cut. We are human lawnmowers. Okay, that's when it's not cotton time. But I get there at cotton time. Now I'm like you saying damn. I'm like, what the fuck is cotton time? If anybody tell you right now it's cotton time, you like, I don't know what the fuck they talking about. I go out here to the fields, and this is something me and you would never think exists. Right around the corner here, it's plantations of nothing but cotton. The South Empire was built on cotton, and they hadn't changed it in the 90s. We was here to pick it. And look, when I got to the field, I'm like, I'm not picking that shit, nigga. I'm not no motherfucking slave. They drew their guns. You ask what happened. You say what happened, right? Oh, they trained for niggas. Oh, you one of them niggas. You think you ain't gonna pick, huh? What they call it? Kunta? What was the nigga name?
Yeah, Kunta Kinte.
Yeah, Toby.
Yeah, that's what they call him, Toby.
Yeah, oh, Toby, you think you Kunta?
Yeah.
You think you Kunta, Toby? Roll right up me on them guns, told me get down on my hands and knees or they gonna shoot me. That's what I'm telling you. They got, you are a slave. They have the right to kill you if you pose a threat to leaving this structure. No, damn. This is jail.
So
I am a slave. If I run, they shoot me in the back.
How many times you thought of running?
None.
Oh.
What you mean? You don't want to get shot in the back? You know how many niggas stayed on that plantation? Do you hear what I'm saying? What you mean?
So let me, at any point, did you feel like, man, if we all get in this together, we can overtake this shit?
That shit sound good,
right,
bro. That shit sound good. And I'm going to get to that, right? So to this point here, right? They made me get on the ground. One of them got off the horse. When he got off the horse, if I made any moves, you get smoked. They get a free kill. This is what I'm saying. This is no investigation. No, what the first 48? No, for real.
Like, what happened?
This is a free kill.
Yeah.
They got notches on their shit from niggas they didn't kill.
Yeah.
They keeping the score. Do you hear what I'm saying? That's why I say let's not play with this shit. This is slavery. This is my first day. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
You still a child? Yeah, you still a
This is day
kid
2.
You what, 17, 18?
I'm 17.
17.
Like, what the fuck is this? Make me get on my knees. One of them get off, handcuff me, right? And I'm thinking this. Well, at least I get a ride back in the building. I'm out this shit. They got me fucked up. No, that's not happening, bro. Guess what they do? You know, do they whip you? They don't whip you, right? This is what they do. It's hot outside right now, right?
Yeah.
They have a trailer. Everybody know of a trailer, like they go on the track back of a truck. Yeah. They have a trailer that's enclosed with a fence, a regular fence. They handcuff you in this trailer, put you in this trailer like this, no seats in the trailer or nothing, for the rest of the day. Welcome to burning hell. I'm telling you, I've been a slave, bro. And that shit ain't nothing to play with. I can tell you this, though. By day 6, I was the most best cotton picking nigga they ever had down in that motherfucker. Look here, look here. And I wasn't the only one. It was some stiff cotton picking niggas down there. Do you hear what I'm saying? Hey, nigga, I'm telling you the honest truth, meaning they have perfected on mentally and physically breaking niggas. And listen, if you got 2 out of line, I'm finna get to your story too. Listen. That's them breaking. After that, if you get 2 out of line, them niggas will whoop you out there. Hey, you fucking it up for everybody. Nigga, if boss man say this nigga ain't acting right, them niggas will whoop you out there. So I went from that to having fights out there. And guess what? Fight, win, lose, or draw. Back to picking cotton.
No matter what.
Back to picking cotton. Lose situation.
You said they had notches on their belt for how many people they killed, right?
Correct.
What's the most you've seen a notch like to the most?
Man, listen, that shit is so depressing, bro. I'm not even trying to look at the notch. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is a psychological play to say, nigga, you next. So I'm not counting how many niggas already been in line. Do you understand what I'm saying?
These are white men.
These are
correction officers.
What you mean? These are slave plantation people who wasn't shit in Brazilia.
The county they in, yeah.
And they got to run a nigga ass off, and they get to kill a nigga if a nigga get out of line with them.
Was there one?
Yeah, I was told to just play 8 minutes. That's a very interesting video. You guys, let me see if I could scroll it up. It's called Kryptonite Says He Was Forced to Pick Cotton or Die. Exposes prison, modern day slavery. You guys could look. As a matter of fact, I could copy it for you guys and put it in the chat if you want to see the rest of it. Yeah, that's a very interesting video. It's interesting, you know, how are you going to overturn that power that they have to do this kind of thing? Let me start with Real Black Gentleman. RBG, what say you to what you just saw?
Oh, okay. I would say, for starters, Texas is always going to be a sketchy territory for a lot of reasons, because, you know what I'm saying, it's not black man's land. Then Mexicans want it, and then white folks want it. So it's like black folks in Texas, for me, look, I mean, that to me, just in my gut, that's like, whoo, I can live without Texas, for starters. But like, yeah, picking cotton, see, they don't need that cotton like that. That's just a ritual humiliation. You know what I'm saying? They don't need that cotton to put that on no market. And so, I mean, the ability of black people to even, like, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, you have these, society is made in such a way that if you stay within these regulations, right? You know what I'm saying? Which are always shifty anyways, right? If you stay within these regulations, you'll be relatively comfortable. But you know what I'm saying? All of a sudden there's a run in and whoop whoop, and then it's like all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, you railroad it and you throwing in. I mean, you know, going back to the previous prompt, you know what I'm saying? It's like making sure that, like, you know, it is important that, you know what I'm saying, we don't want to be shepherded by society, but we just want to be a step ahead so that we're not put into situations that would allow us to be caught in the first place. The best way to not get caught is to not be in arm's reach. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if you can, like, just, if you know what I'm saying, you know, making sure that young people, but again, like I said, the ground's always shifting because there's always some kind of trip trap way, or just, you know what I'm saying, you know, a tail light type situation, you know what I'm saying? Because again, we don't live in utopia either. It's like, you know, there's relative, you know what I'm saying, relative comfort, right? For what it's worth, right? It's like, and so, like, I don't want to ramble too long. I mean, that story was jarring. You know what I'm saying? Again, try to don't get caught is always the first rule, but you know what I'm saying? Learn and do not be a casualty. I'm gonna pass the mic.
Appreciate that, RBG. Let's welcome in our brother Bakari. Bakari, how are you?
Man, I'm great. What's up? What's up to everybody on the panel and the chat? Look, thought you was. Yeah, thank you for letting me up here, man. I know you was about to get off. I just wanted to come up here and speak and say what's up. And I heard this story right here, man. Like, wow, this right here is that's foul. That's real foul. But you know what? With him explaining that, so for the people that like to judge our ancestors that was in slavery and say it's way more of y'all than them, he have more of an understanding why people didn't do nothing. Even though I have an understanding too, because your fist can't beat a gun. I understand that some people did fight back. I understand that. But when I hear this dude tell this story, and he'll tell you he was the big bad N-word, and they broke him. They put him in that hot box. That trailer, no chairs, that fence around it. In that heat, I bet you wouldn't know AC in there either. They put him in that hot box all day. And they broke him. And he talking about the notches on the belt. So they broke him in there. He wasn't going to try to run, wasn't going to try to fight. He going to do what our ancestors did. Boy, go pick that cotton. Is absolutely wrong. It's crazy. But this system, in their prison system, like if you look up, it was a story. I saw it on one guy channel. He was talking about it. He interviewed a guy from California. Matter of fact, it was Brandon. He interviewed a guy from California who was in prison. So let me show you what they do, right? So Mississippi wasn't having enough prison, they had too many empty beds. California prison was overflowed. So man, you know what they did? They reached out to Mississippi and just sent prisoners to Mississippi. People from California was doing state time in Mississippi to keep you locked up in prison. So this system is crazy. And like you say, what do you do to overthrow the power? What can we do? It's something you have to think about, something you have to really work toward. But hey, shit, I don't know. Like RBG said, don't be in arm's reach. Don't try not to put yourself in that position. Or if you're going to fight and you're going to go out before you get in there picking their cotton, because that's real foul. That's a way. Not only did they break him in 6 days only, they broke him and they got you out there picking cotton off the stalk like it's 1800, 1700. And that's an embarrassing, especially when they see the big, what did he say? He was the big bad N-word. So if they broke him and people see him picking days, he say by that 6th day, and he was the best cotton picking near there, right? So if they broke him, then other people see the big bad dude get broken. So it's easy, then the rest becomes easy. And he said they have a system, but hey, of how to break black people. And hey, that's the system they have used ever since we have been here, man. And the thing is, what are we going to do? How are we going to get past it? How we fight the power? On that note, man, I yield the mic.
Thank you for that, Brother Bakari. Let me just also add and bring it kind of full circle. Going back to an earlier prompt that we looked at, it was mentioned in the video that America is just one large prison colony. So the funny thing about this shit is that this is what's, some form of this is what's being done to all of us, black folks in this country. That's the crazy part. And that's also, too, side note, why I personally get tired of all of the antebellum slave movies. You know why? Because you keep showing slavery as that antebellum chattel slavery, but we're still in slavery. And when you keep showing the old way of doing it, you don't wake up the people to the idea like, yo, there's a way that there's a 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. There's a different way that they carry out that slavery today. And I would like, if we're going to make some films, right, let's make the films that show the updated version of slavery now. Maybe we could wake up a couple of more people. This thing here that this guy's talking about, they should make a film out of this guy, out of this story here. And I'm sure they have in some form or fashion here and there, but this is really what we're supposed to be. If you're going to talk about that enslavement thing, talk about what's happening now, in my opinion. Afro Native World in the chat says, Brother Bakari, the Maroons taught us how to get free. Yeah, the Maroons also taught them. And we forget about that part. The Maroons also taught them something. And we have to come up with ideas for now. We have to think outside of the box. Whatever it is we got to do, we really need to get serious about doing it. Trigger Happy 262 Plus says we need more media about revolt against this too. Also, this just proves that internal colonial is very much labor focused. Absolutely. Let me hear from D Webb on this one.
Hey, you know what? It kind of reminds me of anybody that been in any kind of boot camp. That's a tactic that's used as well, where it's you punish the larger group for what one person has did, to the point where that one person is scared to go against the grain, not because of so much what they may face as punishment, but because they're gonna face harsher punishment from their peer group, right? So that's not an uncommon tactic that's used, actually. Like, that's used in all walks of life. I know people have been to prison boot camp. I know people have been to military boot camp, and that's a tactic that's used. You know what I'm saying? But I think, I kind of feel like we rehashing this. I think the biggest takeaway from this is stay the fuck out of prison, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? I understand the situations where you may be in a situation where you got to do something. It's people that's been framed. It's people that's been in a situation where they're just in the wrong place at the wrong time, but I think the greater percentage of people is people that fucking did some dumb shit, went to fucking prison. Stay out of prison. You're not going to be treated like a human being. I don't know why people suspect prison to be a summer camp, dog. Like, it's right there at this point. If you don't know what's going on with the 13th Amendment, I don't know what to say to you, bro. Stay out of prison, bro. Do what you got to do to keep the young men in your bloodline out of prison. You feel me? Because it's not summer camp. You know what I'm saying? Just like it's terrible what we hearing about the slavery out here in the fields and he's picking cotton, which my grandma and grandfather had to pick cotton as 12 and 10-year-olds. I was raised by my grandparents. So to me, the story wasn't as moving as most people would, because I've heard this all my life. You feel me? I heard about them killing chickens, having to kill chickens by hand and having to pick cotton. And you know what I mean? My grandfather working the tractor at 10 years old. So these are things I've heard before. You feel me? But the bigger thing is, if you go to prison, you will be treated less than a human being, and even lesser if you black. So stay the fuck out of prison, dog. And we need to do what we got to do to keep young black men out of prison. You feel me? That we can't keep out of prison. That's why the other prompt, this comes full circle with that other prompt. When we talking about these brothers on the corner and all, if you're going to save them, get them young, bro. If we're going to do something, just mentor one young kid, man, outside of maybe your family, or even in your bloodline, and keep them out of prison, keep them out of the system. Because once you're in the system, it's over with, yo. You're going to experience this type of stuff. It's not going to be a cakewalk. It's going to suck, bro. They're going to make you do dumb shit, pick cotton. Like you said, they don't even need the cotton. They don't even need the cotton. It's not like it's an industry that they making buku profits off this. This is just a punishment, yo. So do what you got to do, man. As a people, as we got to come together, man, and keep the young men out of prison. We got to stop fighting this battle. Where we have to tell these stories where they have a prison industrial complex to put us in. We got to stop. We got to empower each other, bro. Economically, we got to do something to stop this circle. You know what I'm saying? To stop this path. So my biggest takeaway: stay the fuck out of prison, bro. You know what I'm saying? Stay out of that. Stay out of that system. It's a trap, yo. That's all I got.
No, I appreciate that, Web. I agree with you 1,000% there as well. Azuli is out there in the chat. He says, wow, we're fucked. But Azuli, I'm glad you're there. I wasn't sure you was out there tonight. But this is why filmmakers like yourself, these are the stories you got to tell. If you're gonna tell, if you're gonna tell stories that relate to the current condition, as opposed to those antebellum stories. And again, antebellum stories are fine, but me personally, I'm kind of over that. Let's talk about this shit here. And let's have the message be what Bakari said and what Webb just said. Like, stay out of this shit by any means necessary. We got to figure out, like, what's the school to prison pipeline starts in what, grade 3? That means we got to get to these kids before they hit grade 3. If we're going to do any work. This idea that you're going to walk out on the corner with guys with carbines and all kind of shit in their hands on a corner and you're going to convert them, I don't think that's feasible. You're going to get more of yourselves killed doing that. Try to get out here and try to get these young kids, and I was thinking about this week. This is why I don't give women a pass. Women too can be organizers of family constructs and education and how to deal with the youth before they get to that age where they don't listen to them anymore, where you could put a certain sense of respect in them, where when your mama tell you something, you're going to do it, or if she tells you to avoid something, you're going to avoid it. This is the kind of stuff we got to get to, man. We got to get to that like yesterday. Oni, what say you to this?
Yeah, I kind of feel like all the prompts relate to each other. Maybe not the Nick Fuentes one, but maybe, I don't know. But all of them kind of relate to each other. We had the brother explaining 13th Amendment, and this brother was showing us what it looked like or what it feel like. And obviously there was the kids standing on the corner who, if they don't get killed or if they kill somebody and they don't get the death penalty, well, no, even if they do get the death penalty, they probably going to end up in prison and they're going to be talking about, oh, I was enslaved. And it's like, because I don't know. Actually, I didn't catch it. I don't know if it sounded like the guy was a member of a gang. I don't know. Or maybe his name just, relates to a certain gang. But like, yeah, this is what happens. And the only question is, it's kind of like what D Web was saying, is that why did you think that after you go murder 3 people, right, that this white man's just going to send you Disneyland? Like why do you think that's what will be the end of you murdering 3 people? Okay, or like he was saying about the mass murderers, like you a mass murderer, you on the list, and then after all that, they finally find you, and they're just going to say, okay, now that we found you, here's a ticket to Disneyland. No, they're going to treat you like shit. Because there's a lot of white people. I want black people to understand this. Even if it's not every white person, there are a lot of white people who do not like you. You know how there's some black people who are obsessed with white folk. The thing about white folk is that sometimes I be logging onto Twitter or social media and I'll be like, damn, y'all be got the white man on your mind all day. Like, y'all just wake up, think about what this white man's doing and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, damn, I'm sure I know the white man not thinking about y'all like that. But the thing is, there's white people who are thinking about black folk like that. So I'll be like, yo, they got this, like black people in America, white people in America got this weird love-hate relationship. I'm glad I'm not a part of it, real talk, right? I mean, obviously I get into the banter, just like everybody else. But what I'm saying is that I'm not a part of it in the sense of, like I'm not, I'm not with it. That said, though, right? yeah, you just gotta not go to prison. That's why I tell black folk you should leave, because there's this skit. Like I said, I'm not really the biggest Amos Wilson fan, obviously, but still, there's a skit Amos Wilson talks about where he's like, someday black folk gonna be talking about, oh, I'm from Egypt, oh, I built the pyramids, you know, and then the white man would be saying, great, 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 just keep going into this gas chamber, you know, great, 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 just keep picking that cotton. And so all I would say is that, you know, to break a person in 6 days, what, and it's not even, and listen, and this is the big takeaway. Whatever they did to this man is not comparable to what they did to the ancestors of you know, let's say African Americans, or, you know, any people really in the diaspora. There's nothing compared to just, oh, he got put in a hot box one day and all of a sudden he's the best damn cotton picker. You know? Meanwhile, like D. Webber said, they had black folk picking cotton at 12 and shit. Okay? They had black folk, they were breaking people's legs for thinking of running away, and they had guns too. Right? They were breaking people's legs. They were putting weights on people so that their back would break, you know, because they had their legs on their arms, legs on their, like they were just torturing humans. And they put this guy in one piece of metal, and sure, it's a hot day, whatever. Put in one thing, and all of a sudden he's broken. He ain't trying to fight. He ain't trying to look. He ain't trying to investigate. He ain't trying to team up. He ain't trying to do nothing. He ain't trying to do nothing but be a good slave. And this is the guy who would kill you in a heartbeat. This is one of them quote unquote mass murderers. You know, tattoos under his eyes, kill you in a heartbeat. But this white boy could convert him like that, and that's another thing to take away real quick. 6 days to transform somebody into a good worker. And this is why the white boy, you know, when Machiavelli asks, "Hey, do you seek love or do you seek fear?" You know. And this is why the white boy is telling you about power. You know, we don't pay attention to this white boy. This white boy is saying, look, I don't give a shit what kind of black person you think you are. You give me a week, and everything that this black person thought he knew, every sort of dignity that he thought he had, everything that he had, in a week, in one little hot box, he got you turned into the best damn worker in your life. That should tell us something. And I'm not saying, you know, go out and be fair, you know, invoke fear in people, but that should tell you something. With that, I'm gonna say, you know, appreciation and all that.
Yeah, I appreciate your take as well. Yeah, 6 days in the hot box, and on 7th day, this white man rested, man. He did his job. This guy tells you he became the best cotton picking Negro in there. Anyway, Buana, it's on you.
Quickly, and this is going to be brief because I know we're running over time. First, let me say that Erzuli, someone did make a film similar to this, called Antebellum. The movie is called Antebellum. The star of the movie was Janelle Monáe. You know, and it wasn't exactly the prison system, but it's similar to this kind of movie. So they beat you to the punch, Erzuli, if you was planning on doing something like this. Secondly, you know, I'm gonna just end with this one. Brother Bakari he's trying to wage an economic war against a grocery store in New Rochelle in New York City. The name of the grocery store is New Rochelle Farms. I don't know if he had an opportunity to speak on it. So, and I know at the time is very late. So that's something that we are looking at doing. And anyone who want to know more about it, he's probably going to talk about it more tomorrow. But we really just trying to wage an economic war against that store and stop having black people and spending their money there. So I just really wanted to put that out there since he didn't have an opportunity to talk on it. So that's about it. I appreciate y'all brothers giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. Coco, I appreciate you. You know I do. And I'll just end it there.
Yeah, for sure. Bakari's still here. He could talk about it. We could end this in about 6 minutes. So Bakari, go ahead and talk about that thing. But before you talk about the problem with the Antebellum movie, Zuli in the chat is saying that movie was trash. is because the problem with it is, again, it's showing this antebellum slavery. What I'm saying is we need to put the images out there. If we want to try to wake up more people, in fact, use fair tactics with our youth. Like, yo, show them this shit that he is describing, give them a story with that. And so guys, you know, like a horror story type thing, and kind of dissuade people from going into this stuff. Bakari, you want to talk about that thing real quick?
Yeah, at New Rochelle Farms, that's the name of the grocery store in New Rochelle, New York. What is his name? Jarrell Harris, I think. Well, anyway, 37-year-old brother walked in the store. He ate some bananas. And he ate a banana and some grapes and didn't pay. He left out of the store without paying, and they called the police on him. And the police killed him. According to the people there, they say it's a tight-knit community. I guess where everybody know everybody, I guess, from the way they were speaking. And the police killed the brother. The police said he initially they said he had a gun. During that's what they screamed on camera when they did the body cam. He got a gun. But during the investigation, when they were starting to being investigated, and they was asked, the answer that they gave was he is reaching. Well, he didn't. But they say he didn't have a gun. He reached for their gun. But the biggest thing, the reason I say we need to stop going to these people inside of letting anybody just come up. And I looked at New Rochelle, is it really our community? But still, giving these people our money, supposed to be a tight-knit community. They know the relationship, don't care who it is in this country. They know the relationship with black people and the police. And we know whenever you call the police on a black person, it could be a death sentence. Come to find out, the guy, he was schizophrenic. His family say he was probably going through one of his episodes. But if it's that tight-knit of a community, and he stayed in your store, he ate the grapes and banana in your store, and you called the cops on him. So, and they say the community is in and out of that store. That's what the people were saying. So I just think black people should stop going to that store. There's no black and brown unity. And by the way, these are Latinos that's on this grocery store. So I think, but not just them, I've been saying we need to stop shopping with everybody in our community. If they're not us, they coming in, they're not respecting you. They taking our resources and to build themselves up, and we constantly give it to them. And I think that is just something for me. That is something I've been doing, and I've been trying to push the message. And now I hope people in New York can hear this and let's go stand and say, no, we're not shopping in this grocery store called New Rochelle Farms. I can give the address right quick. Give me a second. That's me. I think that's what we should be doing right now. That's what we need to start doing anyway. We should have been doing it. I don't ask for a boycott, even though I know how some people use that word. But me, when I see a boycott, we're asking people to treat us better. When you treat us better, we'll come back to your store and give you our money. I'm asking us shut them down and see if we can somehow start controlling. I know we can, so we can figure out how we gonna control our communities and have some of these businesses become community-owned businesses. The people who can afford, we come together, and that's what I'm asking for. And the address to this store is 465 North Avenue, New Rochelle, New York. I think I'm gonna put it in. I'm gonna put the address to it in the chat right now. But on that, peace. Thank you for letting me speak.
Bakari, before you go, you want to shout anything out this week?
No, I don't want to shout anything out this week. I can just say I'm glad, to be on here with everybody. I'm glad when D Webb get a chance to come through, because I'm gonna do that more on more Fridays. Come through and we can have some good conversation, have some fun on Friday. My late night smoke. Come blaze with me. I think that was because it was excellent last night. I want to see more of us together, you know, because we're about the same thing. It's going to be disagreements, and it's okay for us to have disagreements on certain things, but as long as we want to work toward the main thing, and the main thing, we all want to see us do better. We all want to see our future, which is our children. We all want to see them do better. Oh, I will be doing a show tomorrow, Mind Our Black Business.
Appreciate that, Bakari. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll tune in tomorrow for sure. Real Black Gentleman, you want to shout anything out this week?
No, not really. I just thank you for, you know what I'm saying, the opportunity to speak. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad, you know what I'm saying, I was able to, you know what I'm saying, speak my piece about some things. And I just hope everyone, you know what I'm saying, has a great evening.
All right, thank you for that. D-Web, you want to shout anything out? Talk about Hip Hop High Society, anything like that?
Sure. Shout out to Brother Bakari, man. I'm gonna try to come through, brother. Summer's rough for me, man. I have like all the keys, this shit, man. But I just put my oldest on the plane to Chicago. She goes to her grandma and she's going back for something. So I'm getting back into my the swing of things, man. And once again, I've been trying to, like you hit on earlier, relaunch this hip hop thing while I'm trying to keep it, of course, very positive. You know, I tagged you in that one post with that sister spitting hot fire. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to relaunch that with 5 other people, some of which I aren't really familiar with a lot of social media stuff. So I'm like training people behind the scenes and trying to help them do that. But once I get that rolling, that's gonna be more of a hands-off thing for me. So I'll get back to swing of things. We're gonna relaunch. Well, we come back to new season, I should say, of the Harsh Reality Podcast. It's either going to be the 30th, I want to say, is that Sunday, or it's going to be the next Sunday after the 13th of August. Either or, I'm going to let you know in a minute, Goku. I just confirmed at least one new panel member. We're losing L. He's going overseas to the UK, man, but, you know, he'll pop in every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? Gonna miss that brother, but we got some surprises, man. We got some people that you may or may not have heard of adding to the panel. So, and a couple changes to things with the show. So I'm happy to announce that. And it's as always, man, it's been great to build with you brothers, man. Y'all always good. May not agree on everything, but it's great to have the conversation. The think tank, man, I consider this like a think tank to me, man. It's great ideas being bounced back and forth and very positive vibe. So, man, shout out to you for hosting this, Goku, bro. And shout out to all you brothers on the panel. Shout out to all you people out there in the chat.
Yeah, thank you for
Hey, let me say this right quick. Hey, D-Web, when you start doing your hip hop thing again, I'm gonna see if I can get some of them youth. I'm gonna get my son and some of his friends so they can come through and check some of the hip hop thing you be talking, what you be talking about, so they can understand some positive hip hop as well. I know they do. I know my son, they do, but I know what they still listen to, so they can understand that it's different sides to this thing that need to be played. Yeah, because we need more youth to hear someone talking positive and showing some positive about the hip hop if that's your thing. So that's what I'm gonna do. Every time you put it up saying that's your show, I'm gonna be shooting it out. I'm gonna be shooting it out to the youth 17 to 25 years old. Hopefully they come through and check it out.
Oh, real quick, man, I'm focusing on independent artists too. So if you know some of them brothers out there, man, that grinding, because you know they don't get enough shine on that. So that's my focus, is the people who out here trying to do positive stuff and may not have that platform of the views. That's why I really want to focus on, do interviews stuff. So if you know somebody, man, shoot them my way, man. Shoot them my information. I'll shoot you my information so you can give it to them. All right.
I sure will. All right.
Well, I don't know if you caught that MCE interview I did a couple weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago. But if you haven't, check it out and let me know if that's your cup of tea as well. And, you know, perhaps we could collaborate on some stuff in the future too with the website. Because I've been interested in doing like an independent top 10, top 20 list on a regular, because, you know, as you know, I'm into music as well. So let's talk about it later on. Thanks, Web. Oni, what you want to shout out this week?
Ain't nothing shouting out, nothing. Just Mama Africa, you know. That's just the best place for me at this point. But that's about it. You know, obviously I'll do my thing tomorrow, but I got this computer. It's fucking, this mic is just trouble. All right, but that's about it. That's it. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming through and hanging around with us. Buana, last but not least, Buana, what do you want to shout out this week?
Nada. I just want to shout out again. I want to reiterate and keep knocking the economic war that Brother Bakari is raging, and we with him, we riding with him on that. And my brother Harsh Reality and his hip hop program and what he's gonna try to do eventually in the future. To all my sisters out there who listening quietly, you know, we miss you all and we hope you all come back very, very soon. I'll just end it there, and I appreciate the show.
All right, I appreciate all of you. Without y'all, this show would be about 15 minutes if it was just me. So I appreciate all of you. We don't have to agree. In fact, that's not the point of the show. The show is not to be a sounding board or echo chamber or what have you. It's where we discuss some things, open our minds to a few other things, and express ourselves, etc. Afro Native World asks, what genre of music do you make? You know, one day I'm going to share some of my music with you guys. One day I'll share some of it.
So Coco, if the music is whack, we can tell you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
if it's hot garbage, you will get upset.
Not if when.
The intro music to this show is actually a song from a group I used to have that I sampled it and put it to a different beat. But so that could give you an idea of what I can do. But with that said, I'll be back next week. Trigger Happy 262 says, great show, very related and integrated topics too. Yes, very much so. This was a good night. We'll be back next week to do it again. You might see me during the week. I've been meaning to do some interviews with some people. Webb just put me on, as you mentioned, to someone, so let's see if that can happen soon. Afro Native World, I would say, you know, that's a good question. Buana, what say you? You think we like?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question. It depends on who you ask. We big reggae lovers. We big soca lovers. It just depends on who you ask. That's what I would say.
And a certain seasons kind of too with music with us too. Anyway, see you guys next week. Check out all the other shows on KWAZ radio. Brother Bakari is going to be playing some blues tomorrow. Blues is my favorite music, actually. Blues.
I tell Brother Bakari that blues is big in the Bahamas. You know, we know about blues. You know, we know about the blues music.
Yeah, we know about that for sure. So you guys will see me soon, and you can check out everyone else in the meantime. Until next week, you guys be good. Take care. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.